Chapter 2358. Be it Chun Junshan or the Yellow Springs sect leader, neither of them felt good. Back then, they had fought for it. In the end, they had lost to the Judgment Organization. They would never forget that day. After being resurrected, they were still pawns of the other party. No one hated the Judgment Organization more than they did. Why should I believe you? The Yellow Springs sect leader said angrily. Just because of your words? That's ridiculous. Do you know what a Tao pill is? Have you seen it? Being chased by a group of juniors, the Yellow Springs sect leader retorted. Chun Junshan did not say anything, seemingly waiting for the other party to answer. Who didn't want a Tao pill? They were well aware of the importance of a Tao pill. If they had a Tao pill, they could recover a portion of their strength in a short period of time. I don't have a high-grade Tao pill, but I do have a 5th-grade Tao pill. Lin Fei could not be bothered to talk nonsense. He took out a 5th-grade Tao pill. Once the seal was undone, the aura of a Tao pill spread. This was naturally an ordinary 5th-grade Tao pill. It really is a 5th-grade Tao pill. The Yellow Springs sect leader's expression immediately changed, revealing a look of joy. Other Tao pills might be good, but they were far inferior to a 5th-grade Tao pill. Because this was the most suitable Tao pill, it was easier to refine. Chun Junshan was also moved. If not for the lack of Tao pills, would he be chased by juniors and live a life of peril? This was not the life that Chun Junshan wanted. He wanted to break free. Vengeance, if we want a 5th-grade Tao pill, what price do we have to pay? Chun Junshan hit the nail on the head. Snatch? The two did not have the confidence. The other party could follow them silently. It was not as simple as they thought. The sacred world was full of enemies. There was almost no place to hide. The Vengeance Alliance leader in front of them was not easy to offend. It's simple. I don't need anything else. I just need a trace of pure Tao power from the two of you, and I can give you 10 5th-grade Tao pills each. To be able to make Lin Fei come. Actually, it was for the other party's Tao which was more valuable. That's impossible. The Yellow Springs sect leader reacted subconsciously. This was a part of the great Tao's power that had been stripped off. There was no consciousness at all, and it was completely blank. No one was willing to hand it over. Who knew what the other party would do? Lin Fei smiled and said, Seniors, I only want a sliver of your great Tao power. Do you think it will affect you? If we weren't on the same side, I can guarantee that no one would be willing to give you a grade 5 Tao pill for free. The two of them were shocked and speechless. Old Ghost Junshan, do you think we should agree? The Yellow Springs cult master grew worried. Do you think we have a choice? As he said, it's just stripping away a trace of the Great Way's power. It won't affect us at all. As for what his purpose is, we don't have to worry about it. What we need to do now is to restore our strength. Chun Junshan got to the point. Strength. That was their key. Without strength, he might be killed at any time. We promise you. Chun Junshan made a choice. They could afford to pay such a small price. In front of him, Chun Junshan and the cult master of the netherworld extracted a trace of pure great Tao from the great Tao. They did not carry any imprint, and they were clean and swift. Grade 5 Tao pill, keep it well. They gave it straightforwardly, so Lin Fei naturally gave it straightforwardly. The value of this thing was not as great as the value of these 2 traces of pure great Tao. Chun Junshan and the Yellow Springs cult master were indeed worried that the other party would go back on his word. In the end, they had worked hard for nothing. The blow was very big. Your Excellency Vengeance, you are very straightforward. I hope we will have a chance to cooperate next time. Chun Junshan kept the grade 5 Tao pill and finally smiled. To have someone provide them with grade 5 Tao pills, and he just realized that the quality of the grade 5 Tao pills was very good. Back then, it was also a very top grade one. Don't look at the difference between an ordinary grade 5 Tao pill and a top grade grade 5 Tao pill. In fact, the effect was like heaven and earth. If they knew that there was an enhanced grade 5 Tao pill, they would definitely go crazy. Fortunately, they did not know. I think we can cooperate on another matter. Lin Fei suddenly said, I am very interested in the Great Tao. If you can help me get more Great Tao power, I don't need a lot each time. Just a trace will do. I will pay you 10 grade 5 Tao pills. Of course. Only people of your level are worth it. I believe you will be able to see the benefits. Chunjun Shan and the Yellow Springs cult master immediately realized that this was an opportunity, a chance to recover their strength. They were not the only ones who had returned. Don't look at how they were being chased by the younger generation. They were the ones who were not being chased. They believed that they would be very willing to cooperate. Can you be more specific? Lin Fei explained briefly. According to the levels of the Great Tao, each level was a few grade 5 Tao pills, all the way to the grade 5 Tao pill. When Lin Fei finished explaining, the two's eyes lit up. Even if they suppressed 1 or 2 pills, it would still be a huge harvest. This was like a pie falling from the sky. Chunjun Shan and the Yellow Springs cult master did not know the real background of the other party for the time being. They were very grateful that the other party was willing to help them. The Judgment Organization was aggressive. The Sacred Realm had become their chessboard and they had become their pawns. Those who could help them at this time, no matter what their motives were at least on their side. This time, Lin Fei did not chat with them for too long. They needed to do it step by step. If they were impatient, they would not be able to eat hot tofu. We have not truly failed yet. As long as we get enough grade 5 Tao pills, even if we cannot fully recover our strength, those bastards of the Judgment Organization will not be able to take advantage of us. A chill flashed in Chun Junshin's eyes. Now, let's find a place to cultivate. It is best if we go together. Those bastards of the Judgment Organization are not easy to deal with. If they are blocked, we will be in big trouble. That's a good idea. The Yellow Springs cult master did not want to cultivate alone. If they were besieged again, they might not have the chance to leave. Those bastards of the Judgment Organization would not let them go easily. The two left the mystic realm and decided to find another place to cultivate. If those geniuses of the Judgment Organization know that they have recovered their strength, and not just 1 or 2 of them, they will probably have a headache. Lin Fei saw it very clearly. The reason the Judgment Organization could bully them was because they could not recover their strength. Once they recovered more than half of their strength, they would be like ferocious tigers coming out of their cages. In a 1-on-1 or 1-on-2 situation, they would no longer have any advantage. This was the confidence of the veteran experts. Chapter 2359. Lin Fei didn't know about the influence of giving the 5th grade Tao Core to Chunjun Shan and the Yellow Springs Patriarch. Chunjun Shan and the Yellow Springs sect leader obtained the rank 5 Tao Core and spent a month absorbing and refining it. Their strength increased greatly, and they attacked a minor sacred world in the sacred world. They killed the big boss of the minor sacred world and even fought against a genius who was secretly in charge of the trial. They suppressed him and almost killed him. This was quite a big commotion. The genius of the Judgment Division couldn't take this lying down. He swore to kill the two to tell the resurrected experts that they were all pawns in the sacred world. The geniuses of the Judgment Division fought with Chunjun Shan and the Yellow Springs Patriarch again. There were fewer people than last time. Only 5 attacked the two. The result was unexpected. They lost. Chan Juanha and the Yellow Springs Patriarch's strength increased greatly. The great Tao of gravity and the great Tao of bloodlust suppressed the 5 of them. In the end, they couldn't stop them. Chan Juanha and the Yellow Springs Patriarch defeated the geniuses of the Judgment Division. The aftermath was not small. The experts who were chased by the major forces in the sacred world chose to join Chunjun Shan and the Yellow Springs Patriarch after hearing the news. They saw hope after defeating the geniuses of the Judgment Division. In a short time, Chen Junshan and the Yellow Springs Patriarch had many experts around them. After discussing, they established a force to recruit the resurrected experts in the sacred world. The sacred world had one more force, the Anti-Judgment Alliance. Everyone could tell from the name of the organization that they were going to fight the Judgment organization to the end, and it was the kind of organization that wouldn't stop until one side was dead. The people in the sacred world also learned of the existence of the Judgment Division for the first time. All kinds of rumors spread like wildfire. These rumors basically discredited the Judgment Division. For example, the chaos of the wasteland continent back then was actually a conspiracy of the Judgment Division to overthrow the wasteland continent, and the Judgment Division was the mastermind. All kinds of rumors against the Judgment Division spread everywhere. Although the local forces of the sacred world had submitted, they still remembered the chaos of the wasteland continent. If it hadn't been for the collapse of the continent, it wasn't impossible to cultivate to the unparalleled realm. Everyone began to feel resentment towards the Judgment Organization, especially some rumors that accused the Judgment Organization of secretly manipulating the sacred world and so on. All of these were spread by people. For a moment, the Judgment Division was at the heart of the storm. All of this, of course, Lin Fei didn't know. After obtaining the 2 great Daos, he immediately went to the cave abode in the wild, sacred mountain. After almost 200 years of preparation, this place had long since become an impregnable fortress. Even if the prodigies of the Judgment Organization were to come, they wouldn't be able to barge in a short time. This place was safer than any other. 1 month later, Lin Fei duplicated the bloodthirst Great Tao and the gravity Great Tao. If Chen Junshan and the Yellow Spring sect leader knew about this, they would definitely vomit 3 liters of blood. For the sake of a 5th grade Tao pill, this loss was huge and completely irreparable. No one knew that Lin Fei only needed a trace of the energy of a great Tao to replicate a great Tao and use it for himself. Gravity. The gravity Great Tao enveloped the cave abode. Under the cover of the gravity Great Tao, the gravity was as heavy as a mountain, incomparably heavy. Any expert's physical body was an inseparable part of their body. As long as they had a physical body, they would be affected by the gravity Great Tao. The gravity Great Tao is really amazing, specifically targeting the physical body. No wonder the Judgment Division's geniuses suffered a loss before the gravity Great Tao. Lin Fei released the Destruction Warrior. Even without a physical body, it was immediately restricted, unable to move. Without even needing to make a move, the Destruction Warrior had already lost the ability to fight. First step, second step, third step. Lin Fei took them out to experiment. The results were the same. Before the gravity Great Tao, he was in an invincible position. Bloodthirst Great Tao. After the gravity Great Tao was replaced, the bloodthirst Great Tao followed suit. This frightening, plundering ability was no less than the Fortune Gate's treasure, possessing frightening, plundering ability. Blood essence was one of the essences of a person. It was normal for the Yellow Springs sect leader to have such a fierce reputation. However, there is still a flaw in the rotation. Lin Fei currently possessed 5 types of Great Daos. It would be an abnormal thing for anyone else. But for him, it was nothing out of the ordinary. I have to think of a way. For the first time, Lin Fei had a headache. Having too many Daos was also troublesome. Little Devil, come up with a feasible method immediately. After refining the Great Tao, Lin Fei once again began to plan for the 5 Great Tao, trying to find the best method. It would be best if the power of the Great Tao could be increased. The Little Devil did not disappoint Lin Fei's expectations. In 5 days' time, he came up with a feasible method. During this time, he eliminated countless methods. Fusion. Lin Fei was confused. There's such a thing as fusion? Why haven't I heard of it before? The Little Devil rolled his eyes. That's because you don't know. Do you know that Deacon Lee in space? He should have gone through the fusion. The aura he exudes is terrifying. Even if Qin Junshan and the Yellow Spring sect leader join forces, they won't be his opponent. Lin Fei blinked. Then why didn't you tell me about this before? Aren't you afraid that I would make a move on that guy? I know Master's temper very well. I guarantee you won't come knocking on my door. Lin Fei said. Then I'm convinced. No wonder I felt that guy was terrifying when I first saw him. So, he has mastered a new power. Have you studied the power obtained after the fusion? Profound. The little devil said. After the fusion of two Daos, the power grasped is the profound power. That Deacon Lee should have a rank 1 profound power. Then how to fuse them? I don't know anything about it. Any one of the 5 Daos was powerful, and it was troublesome to use them back and forth. In the eyes of experts, it was a flaw. Lin Fei did not want to leave any flaws. The fusion of Daos, Lin Fei had learned something new. It's not difficult to fuse them. I just need to consume energy. As for the profound power obtained from the fusion, it depends on luck. Lin Fei had advanced to the 7th step, but he knew it himself. The realm was illusory and strength was the real deal. Profound power obtained from the fusion? Lin Fei wanted to give it a try. He opened the system and began the fusion. All Lin Fei had to do was to use his destiny power. Each fusion would consume 100 million destiny points. The first time, failure. The second time, failure. The third time, failure. 10 failures, 50 failures, 98 failures, 150 failures, 200 failures. Lin Fei was numb. What a scam. Fortunately, Lin Fei was rich now. The consumption of 100 million energy was not a big deal. Chapter 2360. 387th time. Lin Fei was about to go numb when he finally heard the system's voice. Fusion successful. The path of fusion is really not easy. Lin Fei wasn't a fool to know that he had fused nearly 400 times in total. It was as difficult as ascending to the heavens for ordinary people. He had relied on the system to fuse more than 300 times before succeeding. This showed how difficult this path was. After fusing 5 great Daos, Lin Fei soon discovered that the original 5 great Daos had disappeared, leaving only one great Dao. Lin Fei's heart stirred. An unfamiliar great Dao aura surrounded him. It was on a completely different level from the previous great Daos, giving off an even more terrifying feeling. So this is level 1 fusion. As soon as this great Dao appeared, a dangerous aura filled the air. If the previous great Daos were like hungry wolves, then level 1 fusion would be like a ferocious tiger, a very ferocious kind. Lin Fei himself could feel the power of the level 1 fusion. It was a brand new power that he had never seen before. By the way, do you know what my level 1 fusion is called? Lin Fei was very confused. If Lin Fei's words were to spread, many people would probably be dumbfounded. Not knowing about the fusion power would definitely make them laugh their heads off. You can actually call it level 1 fusion power. Moreover, it's the fusion of 5 great Daos. If Master wants to fuse level 2, he has to fuse all 5 great Daos and then fuse them together. Lin Fei gave it a try. He sent a palm strike into the air, and a huge explosion rang out. The original formation seemed incredibly weak in front of this palm strike. The Immortal's cave was split open, and boundless demonic black wind howled. What a terrifying attack! In order to set up the cave abode, Lin Fei had put in a lot of effort. He didn't expect that it would be so easily swept away by level 1 fusion power. It was definitely unimaginably terrifying. The demonic black winds howled, but before they could even get close to Lin Fei, they were completely melted by the terrifying power. Little devil, use the system's numbers to calculate how much my current strength can match up to. Lin Fei wanted a comprehensive understanding. Create a database. Begin analysis and calculation. Please wait a moment. Lin Fei was looking forward to this. His combat strength could be calculated using numbers. Data establishment successful. Master's current battle power can be regarded as 10 million battle power. Lin Fei frowned. That doesn't seem right. That's not how the data was divided. The little devil rolled her eyes. Master, are you the same as you are now? It was completely different. The data analysis will also change. Only by doing so will we be able to better classify your strength. Lin Fei thought about it and felt that it made sense. The bigger the number, the better. It had to be in line with himself. Deacon Li in the starry sky, what is his combat power? Lin Fei wanted to know Deacon Li's level of strength. Deacon Li's combat power should be around 5 million. Lin Fei blinked. That can't be. Didn't you say at the start that he was dangerous? Why is it only 5 million? His fusion can't be compared to Master's at all. Master, you have fused 5 great Daos. That guy has fused 2 great Daos at most, and his grade isn't high either. Ha ha ha, so I am so awesome. Originally, he thought that 10 million battle power was nothing, but now it seems that he is very awesome. Then, what was my previous battle power? Lin Fei couldn't help but ask. Must I say it? The little devil was humorous. Of course. Master's previous battle power was 2 million. Lin Fei was still shocked. No wonder, one with 2 million battle power and the other with 5 million battle power. It's a complete crushing. No matter how many people go, they will be destroyed. After fusing 5 great Daos, his combat power soared from 2 million to 10 million. Then it seems that I can do something else. After his battle power reached 10 million, Lin Fei can do a lot of things. In the starry sky. The starry sky blue Wan stopped in the starry sky. This aura, Deacon Li, who had his eyes closed, opened his eyes without warning. A trace of fear flashed across his face. This is a rare thing. How can there be such a terrifying aura in the sacred world? This is clearly a fusion of great Daos. Could it be that those people have fused great Daos? Deacon Li stood up, completely not calm. Impossible! Fusing great Daos is difficult to reach the sky. Who can successfully fuse in a place like the sacred world? Could it be that those people have come? Deacon Li is very clear about how powerful a powerhouse who has fused great Daos is. Even if 2 ordinary great Daos are fused, their strength will immediately increase. It's okay, this elder has fused 2 great Daos. Even if the other party has fused great Daos, they will not dare to act rashly. No one dares to go against the judgment. In another place, a few people also stopped. Elder, the situation is not right. This aura seems to be. The leader stopped, and a trace of horror flashed across his face. Fusion power. This is the aura after fusing great Daos. Could it be that someone in the sacred world has successfully fused the power of great Daos? They are not people of ordinary forces. No one knows better than them the difference between great Daos that have fused and non-fused great Daos. It is simply the difference between heaven and earth, a naked power crushing. Elder, could it be that someone else intervened? If there is really a fusion powerhouse, even if it is a first-stage fusion powerhouse, it is an existence that cannot be ignored. Lin Fei did not know that after he slightly displayed the power of fusion, it would cause such a big movement. The cave residence in the wild sacred mountain was destroyed, but Lin Fei did not care at all. It is all thanks to the Netherworld sect leader and Chun Junshin's great Daos. It turns out that after the great Daos fuse, the power is so terrifying that it can increase my data from 2 million to 10 million. Master, you can finally show your power. Why don't we go to the nearest place, catch a genius from the Judgment Organization, and interrogate him? The little devil waved his small steel fork. That's what I was thinking, ha ha ha. Lin Fei did not know much about higher level things, but he knew about the geniuses of the Judgment Organization. Even if he did it himself, that deacon Li would not dare to do anything. After taking this step, Lin Fei was really unfathomable. 5 great Das fused and failed more than 300 times. Ordinary people could not do it. Anyone who knew would be dumbfounded. The demonized black wind of the wild sacred mountain was no longer a threat at this time. In these 200 years, although the wild sacred mountain was not completely under control, 1/3 of the area was under surveillance. Coincidentally, there was a genius from the Judgment Organization hiding in the wild sacred mountain and opened up a cave residence. Unfortunately, no matter how well he did, he could not escape from the comprehensive surveillance of the little devil. After a while, Lin Fei came to the sky above a mountain peak and grabbed the void with one hand. Chapter 2361. Lin Fei, who was standing in the demonized black wind, casually grabbed with his hand. All the restrictions and formations seemed to have disappeared, and he reached the person sitting cross-legged in the depths of the cave. Yi Lung was a genius disciple of the Judgment Organization. He was now a 6-step expert and had mastered a grade 6 Great Path. He was extremely powerful. Ever since they failed to ambush the Netherworld cult master and Chun Junshan some time ago, Yi Lung had been recuperating in the cave abode, thinking about where the problem lay. Regardless of whether it was the Netherworld cult master or Chun Junshan, after they were resurrected, it was impossible for their powers to return to their peak. It would even be difficult for them to return to half of what they had been back then. In the previous encirclement, they had displayed half of their powers. Their great Tao had worked together and caught them off guard. Yi Lung's injuries were not light. Who is it? Yi Lung, who was originally sitting cross-legged, suddenly opened his eyes. A sense of danger enveloped him, and he was greatly shocked. He was the one who found this place and no one knew about it. Could it be the Netherworld hierarch and the others? Without waiting for Yi Lung to make the right choice, a hand reached into the cavern abode, and all the matrices that he had set up collapsed. Yi Lung was shocked, and he quickly retaliated. He soared into the sky and blasted out over 100 punches. Every punch contained the power of the Great Path. However, this time he had met his match. All of his attacks were unable to stop this hand. The other party grabbed lightly, and an unimaginably terrifying power enveloped his body. Yi Lung was shocked to discover that the power of the Great Path was suppressed, and his entire body was lifted up by the other party. This power... Yi Lung was still in a daze. Then he saw a person standing in the void. The genius of the Judgment Organization is indeed not bad. Your fist technique is not bad either. Lin Fei had to admit that the other party was very powerful. According to the analysis of the Little Devil's data, the strength of this genius from the Judgment Organization had reached an astonishing one. 7 million battle power. This kind of combat power was very powerful. If Lin Fei wanted to suppress them at that time, he would need a certain amount of time. Who the hell are you? Yi Lung was very calm, but he was shocked inside. Since when did an expert like this appear in the Saints' world? There did not seem to be any in the past. Let me introduce myself. I am the leader of the Avengers, the #1 expert in the sacred world according to your information. Yi Lung's heart skipped a beat. That's impossible. You can't possibly be that powerful. This place is too conspicuous. Let's find a quiet place to talk. Lin Fei carried Yi Lung and used spatial movement, arriving in a secret realm. He sliced at a tall mountain with one hand, and a platform appeared. Lin Fei casually tossed Yi Lung onto the platform. Don't have any other thoughts. A large hand slammed down. Yi Lung's small movement was only halfway through when he was slapped so hard that he vomited blood. The power of the Great Path in his body was extremely chaotic, and he was almost unable to condense it. You are a first transition fusion expert. Yi Lung had clearly seen a first transition fusion expert before, and he could not help but exclaim in shock. Even his eyes turned pale as if he had never thought that a first transition fusion expert would appear in this place. I only used less than half of my strength just now. You should understand. Yi Lung came from a big place and was very clear about the power of a rank 1 fusion expert. With his strength, even if he encountered a 7th step expert, the other party would not be able to defeat him. Only a rank 1 fusion expert could cause him to vomit blood and be seriously injured with just one palm strike. What do you want me to do? Lin Fei smiled. I'm very interested in the Judgment Organization. Tell me everything you know. Tell me everything. I believe that as a proud son of heaven of the Judgment Organization, you should know many secrets. I hope you don't miss out on anything. If I'm not happy, I can't guarantee that I won't poke you to death. Facing a suspected first transition fusion expert, Yi Lung had to put away his pride. Yi Lung was not like those people who would stubbornly resist to the end after losing. He understood very well what he could not disobey, especially when he was facing such an expert. Lin Fei learned many secrets from Yi Lung. As long as he was interested in something, he would make Yi Lung tell him in detail, such as why he came to the sacred world and why he wanted to obtain the Great Path Origin Heart. For the first time, Lin Fei learned about the origins of the Judgment Organization from Yi Lung. It was far greater and more shocking than he had imagined. According to Yi Lung, the Judgment Organization was not a small force. Instead, they controlled hundreds of continents that were similar to the sacred world. The Judgment Organization was not like what Ouyingba had said. It was a force that was formed after the Wasteland continent was destroyed. It had been passed down for countless years and had many experts. Lin Fei also knew that the Judgment Organization, which was filled with experts, wasn't the strongest. It was only one of the powers in this empire. Above the Judgment Organization, there was actually a vast and powerful empire. It could be said that Lin Fei was also one of the citizens of this empire. This news was definitely shocking. Lin Fei thought that the Judgment Organization was the strongest force. No one expected that there was another empire, and an extremely powerful one at that. The Judgment Organization could barely be considered as a first-rate force in the empire. It was too terrifying. After Lin Fei finished asking about the Judgment Organization and the empire behind them, he had a comprehensive understanding of them. They were a huge existence. I've already told you everything. How do you plan to deal with me? Yi Lung was fearful of the Alliance leader of the Avengers. He did not think that the Alliance leader would kill him. Attendant Li was just outside in the starry sky. If the Alliance leader wanted to kill him, Attendant Li would definitely act. If one offended the Judgment Organization, even a first transition fusion expert would become a stray dog. The Judgment Organization had the confidence to do so. You're quite confident. Lin Fei had merged 5 great Daos and became a first transition fusion expert. In this region of the sacred world, he was undoubtedly the #1 expert. Seeing that you're tactful, I'll give you 2 choices. Either you die, or you work for me. A genius of the Judgment Organization was qualified to enter the Empire and be conferred the title of king. Lin Fei really did not want to kill such a talent. It was better to make the best use of him. A hint of anger flashed in Yi Lung's eyes. Yi Lung had no intention of relying on someone he did not know. He had the Judgment Organization behind him. They were the overlords of hundreds of worlds. His own clan was also a first-rate clan. That's a pity. Lin Fei slammed his palm down, and Yi Lung was smashed into a pile of mud. Only the great Tao primordial heart remained intact. Lin Fei didn't mind sending a self-righteous person on his way. Before Yi Lung died, a sealing force erupted from his body. However, it was easily broken by Lin Fei. That should be the imprint left behind by Attendant Li. It can withstand at least 3 attacks from an expert. The moment Yi Lung died, the imprint's power erupted. Attendant Li, who was outside the starry sky, sensed it. His expression changed drastically. He disappeared from Yi Lung's back, his face filled with anger. How dare you kill a genius of the Judgment Organization leader? In the sky above the savage, sacred mountain, the space was torn apart. After a few teleportations, he entered the secret realm. Attendant Li saw a black-robed man. With a flick of his slender fingers, over 10 streams of energy shot out. Chapter 2362. Deacon Li brought a group of geniuses to the sacred world. Not only was he here to lead the way, but he was also here to watch over the place and ensure that no accidents happened to the geniuses. The geniuses that could come along were all valued by the Judgment Organization. Each of them had a strong background. Now the kid from the Yi clan was killed. The moment his imprint was broken, Deacon Li knew what had happened. The kid from the Yi clan had encountered an expert. Deacon Li passed through space and broke into the secret realm. He attacked without saying anything. Deacon Li didn't know how to explain the death of a genius from the Yi clan. The sacred world was a second-rate world. It was ranked at the bottom among all the continents of the Judgment Organization. Under such circumstances, Yi Lung was still killed. Deacon Li felt ashamed. Those people from the Judgment Organization would definitely take advantage of this opportunity to make things difficult for him. Deacon Li attacked with lightning speed, not giving the opponent any chance to resist. With Deacon Li's 5 million battle power, no one could escape from his casual grab, even if the opponent was very strong. But this time Deacon Li was wrong. Pung! Just as Deacon Li made his move, an unexpected scene appeared. The opponent's palm appeared in front of him. His hand! Deacon Li was sent flying, smashing through several mountains before finally crashing into a huge mountain. First rank fusion power. No, this is at least a second rank fusion power. In the ruins, Deacon Li's mouth was wide open. He didn't dare to believe what had just happened. He was a first rank fusion expert, yet he was sent flying with a single slap. Come out. This thought flashed through Deacon Li's mind. He was sent flying again. His body was instantly hit by hundreds of attacks. He fell to the ground like a dead dog. Complete defeat. Deacon Li didn't even have the ability to resist. As soon as the opponent's power came out, he couldn't mobilize the power in his body. He was completely suppressed by the opponent's power. Cough, 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 Senior. I am an elder of the Judgment Organization. Do you really want to go against the Judgment Organization? Deacon Li couldn't move. The energy in his body was disrupted. He couldn't condense it. He had less than 10% of his strength left. Let me introduce myself. I am the #1 expert in the sacred world, the leader of the Avengers. You trespassed into my territory, yet you have the nerve to mention the name of the Judgment Organization. Lin Fei kicked Deacon Li, sending him flying. He vomited another mouthful of blood. Deacon Li had never seen anyone in the territory of the Judgment Division who wasn't afraid of the Judgment Division. Could it be that he didn't know how powerful the Judgment Division was? The only thing I know is that your life is now in my hands. Do you think it's useful to bring up the Judgment Organization? Lin Fei grabbed Deacon Li and lifted him up. What you need now is to be obedient. The battle between Lin Fei and Deacon Li was completely one-sided. With a battle power of 5 million and 10 million, Lin Fei had a profound experience. It was a huge increase in quantity, and the opponent's attack could not tear his defense. Lin Fei carried Deacon Li and barged into a mystic realm. He was prepared to interrogate Deacon Li. He knew more than Yi Lung. After Lin Fei left, a few people broke into the secret realm where the battle had taken place. It's here, Li Guangming's aura. He's not here anymore. Could it be that it's over? As soon as they entered, they found traces of battle. The shattered mountains were the best proof. The leader frowned slightly. We're a step too late. Li Guangming seems to have lost. That person is more powerful than we thought. The leader's face flashed with a hint of uneasiness. How is that possible? Li Guangming has fused two great Daos and is a first profession fusion expert. His battle power has reached 5 million. Who can defeat him? The sacred world is the world that the Judgment Organization doesn't care about the most. Back then, the forces of the Wasteland continent tried to join forces to fight against the Judgment Organization, but they were suppressed by the higher-ups of the Judgment Organization. After that, they set up a trap for them. To be able to defeat Li Guangming, his strength must be at least at the peak of the first profession fusion expert. That's a battle power of 8 million. I can't be wrong. Look here. This is Li Guangming's remaining aura. As an old opponent, I can't be wrong. The leader said solemnly. We made the right decision to come here. Next, we should get in touch with this mysterious expert. It's best if we can rope him to our side. Lin Fei did not know that someone had followed the trail. In a certain secret realm, Lin Fei used violent means. At first, Li Guangming was stubborn, but later on, he couldn't hold back in the face of Lin Fei's violent means and spilled everything he knew. During that time, Li Guangming tried to lie. With Little Devil watching from the side, any changes could be detected. In the end, he was beaten up by Lin Fei, and his strength was suppressed. Li Guangming suffered a lot. If it wasn't for Lin Fei restraining his strength, he would have died after being beaten up. From Yileng, Lin Fei learned many secrets of the Judgment Organization, including the shadow of the empire behind them. This time, Li Guangming could only explain to Yileng one by one. Li Guangming was afraid. To be able to defeat him so easily, the other party might have surpassed the first profession fusion expert and reached the second profession fusion expert level. That was something that Li Guangming could not fight against. Lin Fei also knew about the fusion expert. He explained in more detail than Yileng, and Li Guangming told him everything he knew. The first profession fusion expert has a maximum combat power of 8 million. Lin Fei's face was unmoved, but his mind started to think. I didn't expect the strength calculation to be the same as the data established by Little Devil. This is very surprising. You use data to divide combat power? What is this? Lin Fei sneered. How can there be such a calculation in this world? Li Guangming wanted to ridicule the other party, but when he thought of the other party's violent means, he immediately felt numb. He really didn't dare to show a mocking expression and could only say, Alliance Master Fu, I really didn't lie to you. Using data to divide combat power is actually the establishment of the Empire. As for why it is divided by data, we don't really know. I reckon that only a few people know. It has been passed down for too long. Empire? Lin Fei moved slightly. Then, about this first profession fusion expert, tell me in detail. Who asked a country bumpkin like me to not understand? I believe that Deacon Li will be happy to explain the origin of it. I'm willing, of course I'm willing. Li Guangming regretted in his heart. Why did he come to the sacred world? Why did he meet a guy who didn't know anything, and who was much stronger than him? He was considered a first-class expert in the Judgment Organization, but he actually suffered a big loss in the sacred world. The first profession is actually the fusion of great Daos. The first fusion is considered a first profession fusion. Once the two great Daos successfully fuse and become a first profession fusion expert, you can go to the branch palace established by the Empire to be tested. The more Lin Fei listened, the more shocked he became. Chapter 2363. Expeditionary Empire. The empire that Li Guangming spoke of was a very powerful empire. At the same time, it used data to calculate, and there was also the theory of integrating experts. Lin Fei felt as though a whole new world had opened up in front of him. The expeditionary empire became especially mysterious in Lin Fei's eyes. From a small world to the current sacred world. He had never heard of an empire whose strength could be calculated by numbers. I'm very curious. How did you calculate combat strength? This seems to be an impossible matter. Lin Fei was very curious. He had the Little Devil to build a database, collect everyone's strength, and calculate combat units. Then, what exactly did the Expeditionary Empire rely on? Anyone would be curious, especially Lin Fei. Could it be that the Expeditionary Empire had an intelligent computer? Li Guangming smiled bitterly. I don't know about this either. The only thing I know is that the Empire's division seems to have installed a mysterious instrument. Rumor has it that it was created by a supreme expert of the Expeditionary Empire. There are also rumors that the great emperor of the Expeditionary Empire obtained a special treasure from a different world and created this system. Lin Fei didn't obtain too much useful information. Rumors and legends couldn't confirm how the Expeditionary Empire was divided. As long as you are a citizen of the Empire, as long as you pay a certain fee, you can go and test your combat strength. After the test, you will be able to know your specific combat strength. Li Guangming added. Lin Fei asked about another matter regarding the Expeditionary Empire. The most important thing was still the data. This was what he was most concerned about. He originally thought that he was the only one in the world who could create data. Now that an expeditionary empire had appeared out of nowhere, and it was an abnormally powerful one at that, Lin Fei felt a trace of worry in his heart. I heard that your judgment organization wants to select geniuses to participate in the Expeditionary Empire's assessment. What are the specifics? Lin Fei asked. Yi Leng's answer wasn't very satisfactory. Lin Fei hoped to get specific information from Li Guangming. It's like this. The Expeditionary Empire controls countless continents. In order to make it easier to manage, the Empire's master has divided the continents into 38 galaxies. Out of these 38 galaxies, we, the Judgment Team, are in charge of one of them. Every 5 years, the Empire will recruit geniuses. We, the Judgment Team, are prepared to use the Great Path Origin Hearts of the Holy Realm to train geniuses. At the same time, we will obtain a large number of Great Path Origin Hearts to nurture the strongest genius. We hope to successfully pass the preliminary selection, enter, and finally enter the Capital Institute. Lin Fei finally understood. It turned out to be a selection for the Imperial College outside the Empire. No wonder the Judgment Division had to make arrangements. So this was what it was all about. What a good move. Lin Fei knew that the geniuses of the Judgment Realm were all very strong. Their combat power was about 5 million to 2 million. If they could improve their strength in the Holy Realm, it would be a good thing for the Judgment Realm. The powerhouses who were suppressed back then and resurrected now would undoubtedly become training targets for the geniuses. Perhaps only a powerful organization like the Judgment Union would be able to do something like this. In the end, Li Guangming was controlled by Lin Fei. He was a fusion powerhouse with a combat power of 5 million. In the entire Holy Realm, there was basically no one else who could suppress him except him. Master, someone has found us. He's very strong with a combat power of about 6 million. The people around him all have a combat power of about 1 million. Just as Lin Fei was about to leave with Li Guangming, Little Devil's voice sounded. A screen was opened, and someone was walking towards the secret realm. Good heavens, another fusion powerhouse has appeared? Lin Fei's interest was piqued. The Holy Realm is getting more and more lively. This person is probably not from the Judgment Division. Otherwise, they wouldn't have come one after the other. Come in. The middle-aged man who had arrived a step later carefully brought his people to the outside of the secret realm. He was about to find a way to enter when he heard the other party's voice. This person is more powerful than I thought. Mu Chu's heart skipped a beat. Don't talk nonsense later. When Mu Chu first arrived, he had concealed his aura. His technique was very mysterious, but he did not expect to be discovered. After giving some instructions, he led his people into the secret realm. It's you. Mu Chu came to a platform in the secret realm, and Li Guangming immediately recognized him. I didn't expect you to have the guts to come to the Holy Realm. I thought you were going to hide forever." When Mu Chu saw Li Guangming, he cursed inwardly. The other party was not killed, and it seemed that they had reached some kind of cooperation, which gave Mu Chu a very bad feeling. "Li Guangming, the Judgment Division is amazing, but it's not easy for you to kill all of us. If you can come to the Holy Realm, why can't I come?" Mu Chu said, but his eyes fell on the black-robed man standing with his hands behind his back. The black-robed man in front of him did not emit any aura, but Mu Chu knew that this person was the one who defeated Li Guangming. "Okay, stop arguing," Lin Fei said lightly. From a few words, he knew that the person who came was from the star field, and it seemed that he was a sworn enemy of the Judgment Division. Li Guangming immediately became obedient. "Why are you looking for me from outside? Or are you planning to cause trouble in the Holy Realm?" Lin Fei's sharp eyes swept towards Mu Chu, and the aura of 10 million combat power pressed down on him. Lin Fei did this deliberately. After the fusion of the Great Path, the Holy Realm was Lin Fei's territory in his eyes, and no one was allowed to cause trouble, especially people from outside forces. It was necessary to show the necessary power. Mu Chu felt a sense of suffocation on the spot. This aura was really too terrifying. How can there be such a strong person in a place like the Holy Realm? This aura is at least a second-stage fusion powerhouse. It's really scary. Fortunately, I didn't put on airs as soon as I came. Mu Chu was so scared that he broke out in a cold sweat. "Misunderstanding. This is a misunderstanding. We are not here to cause trouble." Mu Chu hurriedly explained. If this went on, he would not feel good, and his qi and blood would definitely be injured. "Humph! It's good that you are not here to cause trouble." Lin Fei snorted coldly. "Causing trouble in my territory, even if you have a powerful background, even if you are from the Judgment Division, you will still have to deal with me in this place." As Lin Fei withdrew his aura, Mu Chu felt as if a huge rock had been lifted off his shoulders. In the face of the aura of a second-stage fusion powerhouse, Mu Chu really could not bear it. Mu Chu originally wanted to rope him in. After all, he was also a first-stage fusion powerhouse, but now it seemed that there was no chance. A second-stage fusion powerhouse also had a high position in their organization. Forget about roping him in. Chapter 2364. Mu Chu left the secret realm. "Elder Mu, what should we do now?" "I didn't expect that there would be a fusion second-rank expert in the sacred world. Li Guangming seems to have suffered a great loss." Under the starry sky, Mu Chu and the others had ugly expressions. They had come from a distant star field for the trial. They would be very happy if they could disrupt the selection. They were shocked by the existence of a fusion second-rank expert. This was far from what they had imagined. How could there be a fusion expert in such a backward place like the sacred world? Mu Chu smiled bitterly. "What else can we do? We can only give up the mission. Do you want to fight with that person?" Everyone fell silent. What a joke! They only had a little more than 1 million battle power. Fighting against a second-stage professional fusion expert with more than 8 million battle power was simply suicide. Didn't you see Li Guangming's honest look? He definitely suffered a lot. It was impossible for them to fight against that expert, even if they were given 100 guts. Everyone should feel lucky that that expert has no ill intentions towards us. Otherwise, we won't be able to leave the secret realm. Mu Chu continued. Moreover, our goal has been achieved. The plan of the trial in the sacred world is probably going to fail. This trip was not in vain. They were stunned once again, and then they all revealed looks of joy. Yes, we succeeded. The trial's plan in the sacred world is destined to fail. That person appeared out of nowhere, and the trial is going to be furious. A smile appeared on Mu Chu's face. They had spent decades coming from a distant star, field, just to stop the trial and prevent them from easily nurturing geniuses. The only thing they did not expect was that there would be a fusion second rank expert in the sacred world. Mu Chu did not doubt that the other party would only need one move to kill them. Mu Chu was not too happy. He was thinking about something else. This matter was very important. Li Guangming's clone was sent back. At the very least, Lin Fei would not be too close to Li Guangming for a period of time. It was not a small matter to be able to control a fusion first-rank expert. Lin Fei did not want to be suspected. He had communicated with Little Devil, and he also felt that the expedition to the Empire was not simple. It wasn't that there weren't any who could use data to categorize it, but there really weren't many who could do it like the expedition to the Empire. Lin Fei learned something else from Li Guangming. Almost every expert that went on the expedition to the Empire had a book of life. Li Guangming's clone returned, while his main body stayed in a cave on the wild, sacred mountain. The savage, sacred mountain was one of the best places in the world, and it was the place with the densest origin energy. If Lin Fei wanted to maintain his powerful strength, he had to continuously absorb origin energy. Master, this is the new cultivation method that the Emperor of the Expeditionary Empire opened. The Book of Life is the key to this. Li Guangming summoned a Book of Life, which floated above his head. It was a golden book, and it was the first time Lin Fei had seen such a book. After Li Guangming took out the Book of Life, Lin Fei had the little demon analyze its origins. Did you cultivate this by yourself? Lin Fei had never seen anything like this before. The Expeditionary Empire became even more mysterious in his eyes. I didn't cultivate it by myself. Li Guangming explained, the Book of Life was actually created by the Expeditionary Empire. Every citizen of the Expeditionary Empire will receive a Book of Life from the Empire's branch palace when they are young, and then insert it into their body. As they grow up, they will awaken at a certain time. After awakening, the Book of Life will assist their growth. Lin Fei felt as if he had heard wrong. Isn't this the same as high-tech? Lin Fei was inwardly shocked by the Expeditionary Empire's generosity. The other party's behavior was similar to his own system. Although it was much weaker, it was definitely a cheat for others. Li Guangming opened the Book of Life. According to him, other than himself, no one could see the information of the Book of Life unless he was willing to show it to others. Otherwise, even a top expert would not be able to see the specific information of the Book of Life. Next, Lin Fei saw a shocking scene. After the Book of Life opened, a page of properties appeared. This time, Lin Fei could not remain calm. Properties page? What kind of joke is this? A page of properties actually appeared on the originally blank page. Li Guangming. First job transition, fusion occupation. First job transition, swordsman strength, 150 speed, 110 endurance, 80 reflexes, 90 combat power, 5 million shocking. This was Lin Fei's greatest feeling. The Expeditionary Empire's properties page actually appeared. If not for the fact that he had fused 5 types of Great Tao and his strength had increased, Lin Fei would definitely not have known that such a thing existed in this world. Could it be that the origin of my system is related to the Empire, or an extremely unreliable thought flashed in Lin Fei's mind? However, once this thought appeared, it lingered and was deeply imprinted in his mind. First job transition swordsman, isn't this the setting at the end of the game? Lin Fei suddenly thought of something. Ever since he came to this world, his memories of that year had been buried deeply. If not for those words, Lin Fei would have almost forgotten about them. However, he did not expect it to come so suddenly. Back in the game, there was a mention of occupations. Back then, Lin Fei had studied it carefully. It was a decent strength system, but after coming to the alternate world, he gradually forgot about it. The Judgment Organization, the appearance of Li Guangming, and the others made the things that he had almost completely forgotten resurface. First job transition swordsman, first job transition assassin, first job transition all kinds of occupations. That was where the true experts were as numerous as the clouds. Li Guangming's first job transition swordsman was far weaker than Lin Fei, which was why he was easily defeated by Lin Fei. In fact, he did not even get to use his best swordsmanship. It could be said that he had lost in a very sullen manner. Li Guangming did not dare to have any other thoughts. The cultivation system of the Expeditionary Empire covered almost the entire star region. The sacred world was an exception, and it was basically abandoned. The master in front of him had grown up in the sacred world, so he had to be a genius. What was the strongest expert in the Expeditionary Empire? Lin Fei suddenly asked Li Guangming. Li Guangming replied, "The strongest expert in the entire empire should be the great Emperor Yuanzhang. It is said that His Majesty Yuanzhang has not appeared for more than 100 years. It seems that he is in seclusion. More than 100 years ago, the great Emperor Yuanzhang seemed to have reached the 9th revolution, and he is the only 9th revolution expert in the empire." A 9th revolution expert, the only one. Lin Fei was very clear that the 9th revolution fusion was not easy to cultivate. There was only one 9th revolution expert in the entire empire, and his combat power was incomparably terrifying. Chapter 2365. Lin Fei placed a lot of importance on what class it was. The information that he had almost forgotten in the depths of his memory resurfaced. 9th class advancement, a peak existence in the game. Lin Fei had a deep impression of it. The king who went on the expedition to the empire was extremely powerful. According to the information he had read, the strength of a 9th class advancement was at least 10,000. This was a huge difference. His Majesty seems to be a storm warrior, Li Guangming said. Lin Fei's memory resurfaced again. He couldn't help but take a deep breath. It's actually a storm warrior. That's a class that specializes in strength. It can be said that it's the strongest of the 4 major attributes. Among the 9th class advancement professions, it's invincible. Among the 4 major attributes, strength, speed, reflexes, and endurance were the 4 major attributes in the game. When each attribute was developed to the limit, it would become a terrifying existence. At that time, Lin Fei had specially studied it and had a deep impression of it. Storm warrior was one of the powerful professions. Lin Fei still remembered that to become a storm warrior, it wasn't just strength. One had to reach a certain standard in speed as well. It could be said that among the 4 major attributes, strength and speed were higher than ordinary people. The word storm could be seen from this. This kind of profession would be very terrifying when it matured. Lin Fei didn't expect that person to be a storm warrior. Moreover, he was the only 9th class advancement expert. That was an existence that could casually kill 8th class experts. Lin Fei asked a few more questions about the Book of Life. Although Li Guangming was a deacon, his knowledge was limited. The Judgment Division wasn't a top force, so he didn't know much about the origins of the Book of Life. To be able to ask this much, Lin Fei was very satisfied. He had a vague guess about the expedition to the Empire. The masters of each of the 38 starfields were all high officials of the Empire. Each of them was an 8th class advancement expert. The masters of the 38 starfields were all 8th class advancement experts. Each of them was a veteran who had the chance to advance to the 9th class advancement in the future. Lin Fei also learned from Li Guangming that the reason the Judgment Organization arranged for the geniuses from the sect to come here was to provide them with a chance to improve. The great Tao primordial heart could be refined into a Tao pill, which could be used to improve the 4 attributes. This was also the reason why the Saints' World had set up a trap in the first place. It was to provide them with an opportunity. Of course, the geniuses of the Judgment Court were not first job integration masters. It was very difficult to integrate the Great Tao. Therefore, in the Empire of Conquest, those who could become first job experts and cultivate professions were all influential figures in the empire. Big and small clans would extend an olive branch to them. Li Guangming was one of them. It was because he had become a first job expert and a first job swordsman that the judgment court extended an olive branch to him, and he successfully became a deacon in the judgment court. Master, I think I have figured out what is going on. After Li Guangming left, Lin Fei began to think. The little devil's words interrupted Lin Fei's thoughts. Quick, tell me about it. Lin Fei really wanted to know what the Empire of Conquest was all about. Master, the system released a message just now. I think the Empire of Conquest that we met is actually a technological civilization. The Book of Life is one of the developments in technology that helps humans cultivate. Lin Fei was slightly stunned. A technological civilization? Yes, the Empire of Conquest should be a higher-level civilization. In other words, it is a civilization that combines technology and cultivation to help humans cultivate, said the little devil. The system didn't have this information at first. Then it appeared. Maybe our system came from a technological civilization. In fact, Lin Fei did have such suspicions that day. With such advanced technology, other than coming from a very prosperous technological civilization, Lin Fei really couldn't think of where else it could come from. Lin Fei had always felt that the distance was too far. He didn't expect it to be so close. A technological civilization. Fortunately, Master didn't rashly go to the Empire of Conquest. If you really went, you might have been exposed, the little devil reminded. Master's improvement in strength has always been different from others. If you had the Book of Life, it wouldn't be so out of place. After hearing the little devil's words, Lin Fei felt that it made sense. Can the Book of Life simulate? Of course. Lin Fei also wanted to see to what extent his data would be displayed with the Book of Life. With the Book of Life, he wouldn't be so out of place. No one would be able to see any traces of him. An hour later, the little devil simulated a Book of Life for Lin Fei. The aura was exactly the same. Even if that person from the Empire of Conquest was in front of him, he wouldn't be able to see any flaws in the Book of Life. Lin Fei profession, none strength, 320 speed, 210 reflexes, 180 endurance, 270 combat power, 10 million, not bad, not bad. Well done. You can pass off the fake as the real one. Lin Fei was very satisfied. The little devil snorted. Master, you might be mistaken. You can't pass off the fake as the real one. This Book of Life is actually the real one. There are no flaws or flaws. If Master says it's fake, it will make me look bad. After hearing this, Lin Fei didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Okay. Then it's real. If Master says it's real, then it's real. No one can say it's fake, the little devil said very seriously. In fact, Lin Fei couldn't find any flaws in the Book of Life. It was as if it was real. Even Li Guangming would think it was the real one after seeing it. Is the data about the same? In theory, there shouldn't be too much of a problem. The difference between the two shouldn't be too big. Lin Fei wasn't worried anymore. Others used the Book of Life to measure themselves. But Lin Fei didn't need to worry about this. He walked a different path from others. The numbers in the Book of Life didn't really help him much. By the way, little devil, can you see through the other party's Book of Life through the system? With the existence of the Book of Life, Lin Fei had an invisible advantage. The little devil said disdainfully, Master, you don't have to look down on me so much. It's just a Book of Life. Its technological level isn't high. It's very easy to crack. It's not difficult at all. Lin Fei seemed to have forgotten that the system's level was definitely higher than the civilization controlled by the Expeditionary Empire. The Book of Life might be a great existence in the eyes of others, but it was really nothing to the little devil. There was no technical content. Then what do you think I should do next? Now that I have the Book of Life, what do you think I should focus on? After the fusion of the great Daos, Lin Fei hadn't found the right direction. After seeing the 4 major attributes and the original game system, Lin Fei understood what he was missing. Chapter 2366. Duplicate 6th grade Tao Core. Duplicate 7th grade Tao Core. Duplicate 8th grade Tao Core. Establish a database. Lin Fei not only learned from Li Guangming about the trial and the expedition to the Empire, but also obtained a complete Tao Core. In the expedition to the Empire, Tao Cores are the most commonly used currency. Continuous consumption of Tao pills could enhance one of the 4 major attributes. Of course, it is not easy to keep taking them. It requires a huge amount of resources. The medicinal pills that Li Guangming had on him were all speed-type medicinal pills. After refining them, he could increase his strength by a bit. He could accumulate a large number of Tao pills. Lin Fei bluntly copied them and established a database. After the little devil's research and analysis, Lin Fei found a suitable profession, which is a profession that increases strength. It is called the Roaring Warrior. Lin Fei has a deep impression of the origin of the Roaring Warrior. This profession mainly focuses on increasing strength. The other 3 major attributes basically do not need to pay attention to. The goal is to increase strength. The Roaring Warrior is a top-notch profession among the 4 major attributes. Almost no one can successfully cultivate it. Outsiders can't, but Lin Fei can't. In addition to the Roaring Warrior, Lin Fei also values speed among the 4 major attributes. For example, among the speed attribute, there are several professions that are very powerful. Some professions can rely on speed to contend with strong enemies and be invincible. Lin Fei will not miss this opportunity. 3 months later, Lin Fei came out of the wild sacred mountain. 3 months is enough for Lin Fei's strength to go to the next level. His original 10 million battle power increased by 1 million, reaching about 11 million. This method of improvement is enough to be amazing in the expedition to the Empire. In just 3 months, the entire sacred world is in chaos. Not a single big or small force is idle. All of them are attacking the resurrected powerhouses and snatching their great Tao origin heart. The Yellow Springs sect master Chun Jun Shan and some other veteran powerhouses have established their own forces to contend with them. Even so, this side is still at a disadvantage. After all, the geniuses who came from the judgment all had a battle power of around 5 million. On the contrary, those resurrected experts didn't have such tyrannical strength. Basically, their battle power was around 800,000. Who asked them to not have great Tao primordial pills? Back then, after the trial, the primordial great Tao pills were not left behind. They were all confiscated, and the primordial great Tao pills disappeared from the sacred world. It's time to restore peace. With a battle power of 11 million, Lin Fei could be said to be the strongest existence in this area of the Holy World. The battle between the people of Judgment and the resurrected powerhouses actually affected Lin Fei's resources and interests. In the end, they didn't lose anything, but Lin Fei lost a lot. Yama's death domain. Sacred Lord Blood Prison was in high spirits and had been in the limelight recently. With his peak 5th step battle power, he had killed dozens of revived experts. All of the unwillingness he had felt back then had vanished into thin air. The strong always liked to follow the strong. In the face of increasing their strength, it was nothing to give up their freedom. At the very least, they had reached a new realm. Under normal circumstances, it would be impossible to achieve in a lifetime. Blood Prison, you have done well recently. Your next mission is to continue to lead people to kill them. Don't show any mercy. A ball of energy in the palace said. Sacred Lord Blood Prison's face lit up. A loud bang interrupted Sacred Lord Blood Prison's words. The palace shook, and the top was clawed open. A hand reached in, and the ball of energy high above and Sacred Lord Blood Prison fell into this hand. Sacred Lord Blood Prison's strength was suppressed, and he couldn't use it at all. Similar situations kept happening in every small sacred world in the sacred world. No matter how well the other party hid, in front of Lin Fei, who had absolute strength, they seemed vulnerable. A battle power of 11 million against a battle power of 1. 5 million was indeed a crushing defeat. Almost every genius from the Judgment who was caught was suppressed in one move, and the strength in their body was suppressed. This time, their expressions changed. How could there be such an expert in the sacred world? Could it be an enemy from the star field? Bang, bang, bang. On an uninhabited continent outside the sacred world. One by one, figures lost control and fell on the continent like broken bags. As soon as they got up from the ground, a tyrannical and terrifying force pressed down on them, and they couldn't move. Let us go! We are the geniuses of the Judgment. You can't offend the Judgment. Let us go immediately. Deacon Lee, do something. The arrogant geniuses of the Judgment were lying on the ground, and it was difficult for them to raise their heads. It's them. What's going on? The Yellow Spring sect master, Chun Jun Shan, and some other old powerhouses were also pulled by an invisible hand. In front of this hand, they couldn't resist at all. When they saw the figures lying on the ground, they were all stunned and then burst into cheers. If it wasn't for the existence of that terrifying force, they would have gone up to take revenge. Ever since they came back to life, they knew that they had fallen into the Judgment's trap and became pawns for others. They gritted their teeth and had deep resentment towards the Judgment. Unfortunately, they didn't have the chance to take revenge. The geniuses of the Judgment were all powerful, and at the same time they controlled the major forces of the sacred world. There was almost no place for them to hide in the entire sacred world. As long as they hadn't recovered their strength, the geniuses of the Judgment would always be their Dharma sword. They could fall at any time and kill them with a sword. They didn't expect that the powerful geniuses of the Judgment would be suppressed one by one. How delightful was this? It turned out that this day would come for them too. Everyone is here, Lin Fei said lightly. The people who had been moved over realized Lin Fei's existence. Previously, they were all attracted by the people on the ground. Thank you, Senior. The Yellow Spring sect master cupped his hands. He knew who this person was. He was the one who had helped them back then. The only thing he hadn't expected was that this person's strength would be so tyrannical. Looking at him now, he was unfathomable. When these old powerhouses saw the black-robed Lin Fei and his unfathomable aura, they were secretly shocked. A genius who could suppress the Judgment was not an ordinary kind of terrifying. They knew that the Judgment organization had arranged for an 8th-step powerhouse in the starry sky outside. I'll speak, you listen. Lin Fei's voice wasn't too heavy, but the invisible pressure made them feel that they couldn't disobey. It seemed that if they opened their mouths, they would definitely not have a good ending. No matter who you are, let us go immediately. Otherwise, when Deacon Lee arrives, you will all die without a burial place. A young man roared. You talk too much. Lin Fei snorted coldly. He grabbed with one hand and crushed the young man, leaving only the great path, primordial heart. Chapter 2367. Lin Fei casually made a grabbing motion, and all the cultivators present were shocked to see the scene. Their scalps went numb. The genius of the Judgment realm in their eyes was crushed, and the primordial heart of the great path was perfectly preserved. This was enough to prove that Lin Fei's control over his strength had reached the point of perfection. I don't like it when people talk too much. Lin Fei's sharp gaze swept over. No one dared to look him in the eye. Even the prodigies of the Judgment didn't dare to breathe too loudly. To be able to kill them in one move, the other strength was very likely at the level of merging the great path. After a glance, everyone's temper was gone. The prodigies of the Judgment didn't dare to speak again. Administrator Lee hadn't come for a long time. Something might have happened. In the distant holy world, they really had nothing to be arrogant about. Without Administrator Lee, they were like toothless tigers. They couldn't be arrogant no matter what. At this moment, it was as if the world had collapsed. I'll give you two choices. Either you submit or you die. This is the reason why I've brought you here. You only have 3 breaths of time to think. Submit or die. At this moment, everyone was no longer calm, especially the prodigies of the judgment. All of them had great backgrounds. Not only did they have the judgment behind them, but their families were also very powerful. They had been prodigies since birth. Now that they were being asked to choose, this was something that had never happened before. We're from the judgment. We won't submit. As soon as he finished speaking, the young prodigy exploded into a bloody mess. The heart of the great path landed in Lin Fei's hand. Continue. The prodigies who had wanted to resist were now covered in cold sweat. They realized that this was no longer a situation where they could strut around. The black-robed man before them had the strength to kill them. Killing 2 of the judgment's prodigies left them in despair and fear. Submit or die. I'm willing to submit. I don't want to die. In the face of death, someone couldn't help but speak. In the face of death, no one was willing to choose death, especially these prodigies. Surviving was more important than anything else. Moreover, surviving meant that they had a chance. The judgment was the leader of the star field. No matter how strong this person was, he couldn't withstand the judgment's fury. Not to mention this, just the families behind them could suppress the other. I'm willing to submit. Me too. Since there was one unlucky person, the rest chose to submit. The Yellow Spring hierarch and the others had never thought that one day someone would demand their submission. However, 2 of their geniuses had been killed in a single strike, so they didn't have the confidence to fight back. The geniuses of the Judgment Hall were stronger than them, but in front of this Alliance Master Fu, they were still killed in a single move. Even if they joined forces, they wouldn't be a match for him. Since that was the case, why should they resist? They decisively chose to submit. Without being targeted by the judgment, they could also take a breather. In the future, it would not be impossible for them to regain the strength they had in the past. In fact, it would not be impossible for them to reach even greater heights. Lin Fei didn't place any restrictions on the Yellow Spring hierarch and the others. There was no need for that. The geniuses of the Judgment Division were different. They all had puppet insect seals placed on them. These puppet insects were of a higher grade and could be easily controlled. After a round of torture, the Yellow Springs sect master and the other veteran experts felt their hair stand on end. There was actually such a terrifying existence in this world that could torture people to the point of hovering between life and death. At this moment, they rejoiced in their good luck. It seemed that the other party had no interest in controlling them. The chaos in the sacred world completely calmed down. All the forces in the sacred world were wiped out. All the forces in the sacred world were gathered together, and the 14 forces from before had all disappeared. After the forces in the sacred world were swallowed up, the strongest force in the sacred world was left behind, the Avengers Alliance. The controller of the sacred world became Alliance Master Fu. Lin Fei's invincible palace was also hidden. As long as he didn't expose his identity, the entire sacred world would be controlled by the mysterious Avengers Alliance Master. The Avengers Alliance was divided into 2 camps. One was the geniuses of the Judgment Division, and the other was the veteran experts like the Yellow Springs Sect Master. They monitored each other and balanced each other. At the beginning, the geniuses of the Judgment Division tried to suppress them with their strength. However, Lin Fei gave them Dao pills to recover their strength, which dispelled their thoughts. The 2 sides were at odds with each other. Lin Fei was very satisfied with this situation. Ouyang Ba and Qi Lin were the strongest experts who were controlled. Lin Fei had given them the strength Dao pills, which increased their strength very quickly. Although they were still far from merging with the first class, their combat power was around 1 million. This was already very strong in the sacred world. The sacred world returned to peace in the face of such strong means. The influence of the Avengers Alliance also spread throughout the sacred world. The wild sacred mountain was directly listed as a forbidden area by the Avengers Alliance. No one was allowed to enter, and every entrance was set up with layers of arrays. This place became the source of origin energy for Lin Fei. He exchanged for equipment through the system and began to plunder origin energy units. The effect was not ordinary fast. After plundering for a year, a problem appeared. The origin energy was decreasing. In this year, Lin Fei's system kept replicating Tao pills, and the consumption was very fast. As the origin energy units began to decrease, Lin Fei began to feel anxious. The saint's world is still a little too small at the end of the day. Most of the origin energy was destroyed in the battle back then. Fortunately, the savage sacred mountain is different and managed to preserve a portion. I've constantly plundered it, and it's almost dried up. I need to come up with a new plan. The business was big. There were too many needs. For example, replicating the Great Tao and replicating Tao pills. All of these required origin energy. Lin Fei consumed a lot of origin energy units. Do I really have to go to the star field? According to Li Guangming, there is a popular thing called an energy block in the Expedition Empire. It is a special creature that absorbs the origin energy between heaven and earth. As long as I have a chance to replicate it, this creature will no longer be a dream. This idea was out of control as soon as it came out. The sacred world was too small for Lin Fei to use. If he continued, the origin energy units of the sacred world would be plundered by him. This amount of resources was not much help for Lin Fei's needs. Lin Fei had to go to a bigger place. Lin Fei was also very interested in the technological civilization of the Expedition Empire. It seemed that only by going to the Expedition Empire, he might have a chance to find out the origin of the system. According to Little Devil, there should be something in the Expedition Empire that had been guiding it to the Expedition Empire. Then I will prepare to go to the Expedition Empire and see the technology of the civilization. Lin Fei quickly made a choice. This was something that he had to come into contact with sooner or later. Li Guangming had become the #1 expert in the sacred world. Lin Fei was not afraid of the people from the Judgment Empire at all. It would take more than 90 years to travel from the Judgment Star Field. Chapter 2368. In the blink of an eye, 5 years had passed. The entire sacred world had always been under the control of the Avengers. The originally chaotic sacred world had also begun to flourish. All sorts of experts were constantly emerging in the sacred world. Those experts who had been resurrected had regained 60 to 70% of their original strength. This was only possible with the help of the Tao pills provided by the leader of the Avengers. During this period, it was inevitable that some experts who thought themselves infallible would try to express their own opinions. In the end, they were all suppressed. Within the Avengers, the two major forces suppressed each other and managed the sacred world very well. I really have to leave. There aren't enough resources. In these 5 years, Lin Fei could be considered to have lived in seclusion. He did not pay much attention to the matters of the sacred world. He was also not interested in the internal conflicts of the Avengers. As long as he existed, those people would not dare to raise any objections. The resurrected experts were not satisfied. Lin Fei would not pay any attention to them. Those geniuses from the Judgment Hall alone could easily suppress them. If they didn't want to stay, Lin Fei would not force them. The world was so big and they could go anywhere. He had no interest in stopping them. On a mountain peak in the wild sacred mountain, the demonized black wind whistled. However, the mountain peak had formed an independent space. The demonized black wind passed through both sides. In these 5 years, Lin Fei had explored some of the dangerous places in the sacred world and obtained many useful things. Lin Fei had plundered the White Bone Plain in the center of the World Wall battlefield several times and obtained many things that he wanted. It could be said that these 5 years were actually for Lin Fei to prepare to leave the sacred world. It's time to go. The resources were getting smaller and smaller. Lin Fei could not sit still. Outsiders did not feel anything because they were not strong enough. Lin Fei had the leveling system. No one knew the amount of resources better than him. Lin Fei had already explained everything about the sacred world and left behind a trump card. As a trump card of the saint's world, Li Guangming was enough to block any attack. In order to avoid being discovered, Lin Fei had created a perfect trap so that no one would suspect that Li Guangming had disappeared for some other reason. In 5 years, Lin Fei also increased Li Guangming's strength to the level of 6 million, which could be regarded as a great increase in strength. In the Expedition Empire, increasing 1 million battle power in 5 years was something that very few people could do. Li Guangming was even more loyal to Lin Fei. Lin Fei wasn't afraid that Li Guangming would be able to break the puppet bug. As it continued to strengthen itself, it became extremely powerful. With just a thought, even if Lin Fei was far away, he could still instantly kill Li Guangming. Lin Fei did not like the sadness of parting. After settling down, he left in the middle of the night. In the starry sky blue wand remained in the starry sky. This time, they would be relying on a powerful flying beast, like the starry sky blue wand, to head to the star field. If they wanted to reach that star field by relying on human strength, it would take at least 200 years. The starry sky blue wand was that powerful and heaven-defying. Compared to 200 years, 90 years was indeed a very long time. After controlling Li Guangming, Lin Fei controlled the starry sky blue wand. According to Li Guangming, the starry sky blue wand was also a very precious flying beast in the star field. In terms of price, it would cost more than 100 million energy blocks. In the star field, energy blocks were more popular than Dao pills. Energy blocks were controlled by the great forces and belonged to the Empire's resources. It was very difficult for ordinary people to obtain them. An unparalleled powerhouse's net worth was around 10 million energy blocks. Those who were not doing well would have a net worth of a few million energy blocks. When I reach that star field, I must get a long-distance teleportation gate. Lin Fei secretly clenched his teeth. He had also learned about the long-distance teleportation gate from Li Guangming. In the star field, due to the distance between worlds and star fields, there would basically be teleportation gates. As the sacred world was an abandoned world, its resources were almost depleted. No one was willing to come to the sacred world. Therefore, long-distance teleportation gates had become impossible. It was said that the cost of a long-distance teleportation gate was a shocking 500 million energy blocks. Starfield, here I come. Standing on the starry sky blue wand, Lin Fei stood with his hands behind his back. The starry sky blue wand spread its wings and flew high. Traveling was a very boring thing. It would take 95 years to reach the star field from the sacred world. Lin Fei began to slowly adapt to traveling. With Li Guangming's star field map, he was not afraid of going to the wrong place. He would usually cultivate on the back of the starry sky blue wand and familiarize himself with some of the Roaring Warrior's attack techniques. When he reached the star field, Lin Fei would be a Roaring Warrior, a second-stage professional Roaring Warrior. Of course, he would need to pass the test first. The expedition to the Empire was very important to personal information. If Lin Fei wanted to gain a foothold in the star field, there were many things he needed to do. It was not as simple as he imagined. 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. In the first few decades, he almost didn't meet a single person. It seemed that the sacred world was too remote. Along the way, apart from the starry sky blue wand and those uninhabited continents, there was nothing else. Living people. There was no need to even think about it. In the 85th year, Lin Fei finally saw some living people. Those living people seemed to have bad intentions, especially when they saw that the starry sky blue wand was worth hundreds of millions of energy blocks. Many of them were provoked. If there were many people sitting on the back of the starry sky blue wand, they would definitely not dare to make a move. Now that there was only Lin Fei, under the temptation of the energy blocks, those people finally made a move. For the sake of the energy blocks, those people went crazy. When Lin Fei stepped into the periphery of the star field, he encountered a group of bandits. Their strength was not bad. Almost all of them had a combat power of more than 1 million. Besieging an expert with a combat power of 2 million was not a problem. For the first time, Lin Fei saw the mysterious veil of a first-stage professional. These people were not strong, and their professions varied. Lin Fei's horizons were broadened. He let them do whatever they wanted until they lost interest and suppressed them with one move. This should be the Empire medal. After destroying the corpses, Lin Fei looked at the spoils of war. The most eye-catching one was a round black medal. Lin Fei remembered what Li Guangming said. All martial artists who had achieved the first-stage professional would have an Empire medal. This Empire medal was issued by the Empire and recorded the information of the profession. If one didn't have the Empire medal, then, congratulations, one would be considered an unregistered person in the Empire. Once caught, one would be sent to become a slave. Little devil, try to analyze and copy it. Lin Fei was now a standard unregistered person. Once caught, he would be assigned a different fate. Basically, unregistered people would be sent to open up mountains. In the end, they would die of exhaustion in the mines. In order to gain a firm foothold in the Empire, Lin Fei must make some preparations in advance. Putting down the Empire medal, Lin Fei's gaze fell on a black stone. Rather than saying it was a stone, it would be better to say that it was a round stone. The stone was pitch black, but it was filled with an ancient aura. Lin Fei tried to hold it in his hand and felt the vigorous aura inside. It was the aura of origin energy. Chapter 2369. After absorbing a black energy block, Lin Fei was shocked. Ha ha ha, this is good stuff. One energy block is equivalent to the amount of energy a device can absorb in a month. Lin Fei smiled. So far, what Lin Fei lacked the most was origin energy. However, the sacred world had been destroyed many years ago, so origin energy was scarce. Fortunately, he had the system which could absorb origin energy. Special creatures can grow energy blocks. Can I absorb them directly? An idea popped up in Lin Fei's mind. This was much faster than planting. After checking the Empire medal and energy blocks, Lin Fei absorbed the Great Tao Origin Heart. This thing was not good. After absorbing 20 to 30 Great Tao Origin Hearts, his combat power increased by less than 30,000. This result was more or less out of Lin Fei's expectation. It seems impossible to increase combat power by absorbing the Great Tao Origin Heart. I can only find those high-grade pills. After being besieged, Lin Fei kept the starry sky blue one. This guy was too conspicuous. It was hard not to notice it. Lin Fei kept it in the pet space. This was opened by the system later. Putting the starry sky blue wand in the pet space could also increase its strength slowly. There was no need to worry about the information being leaked. Originally, it would only take 10 years to reach the destination by riding the starry sky blue wand. However, it took Lin Fei 20 years to finally enter a magnificent starfield. Since 3 years ago, Lin Fei had entered the periphery of the starfield. There were prosperous continents, one after another. Each of them was bigger than the sacred world. Their overall strength was incomparable. The empires will left the deepest impression. The empires will cover 38 starfields. No one disobeyed the empire's will. Lin Fei slowed down his pace. Along the way, he learned about the empire's strange and interesting stories and customs. After seeing it with his own eyes, Lin Fei felt the power of the empire. Very powerful. For example, Ashwolf Star. It was one of the 38 star sectors that Lin Fei was currently in, the Songlang star that was controlled by Judgment Division. Back in the day, the great emperor had established the Expeditionary Empire. The rulers of the 38 planetary systems had all been promoted to high officials because of their contributions. Each of the 38 star sectors had different sizes. The Tsong-Lang star was not considered big, but it controlled more than 100 worlds and continents. Compared to the other star sectors, the gap was not small. No matter how big or small the gap was, no one dared to look down on the high officials of the Imperial Expeditionary Expedition who controlled a star region. In the Tsong-Lang star, the Judgment Palace was like a local tyrant. Perhaps the great emperor was worried that the influence of the star field would be taken away by others. So he established a branch palace in every star field called the Expeditionary Guard. In fact, everyone knew that the Expeditionary Guard's role was to monitor the movements in the star field. They were the eyes and ears of the great emperor. Fortunately, the Expeditionary Guard usually did not manage the affairs of the star field. Unless it was a major event, it was rare to see the Expeditionary Guard. Moreover, the Expeditionary Guard's branch palace was not located in the center of the star field. It was precisely because of the existence of the Expeditionary Guard that the territorial lords had great influence, but they did not dare to do anything disgraceful. The Expeditionary Guard had also become a sharp sword hanging over their heads that could be cut off at any time. Every Expeditionary Guard had an elder who was very powerful. Together with the treasures bestowed by the great emperor, their strength could increase exponentially. All along, the most terrifying person in the star field was not the territorial lords, but the Expeditionary Guards. There was a rumor that once one was on the blacklist of the Expeditionary Guards, even if one was extremely powerful, he would be removed from the list overnight. Lin Fei walked and stopped from time to time. He had a detailed understanding of the star field and even the Expeditionary Empire, which overlapped with the information in his memory. Wow, what a huge city! Is this Tsong-Lang City, the center of the star field? Unbelievable! This is too unbelievable. Tsong-Lang City was huge. It could be described as magnificent. Everyone who came to the outskirts of Tsong-Lang City would stop in their tracks and be shocked from the bottom of their hearts. After more than 100 years, Lin Fei walked and stopped from time to time. Finally, he arrived at the center of Tsong-Lang Star, Tsong-Lang City. Standing outside Tsong-Lang City, Lin Fei was also shocked. First of all, Tsong-Lang City was huge. One could not see the end of Tsong-Lang City. The sky above Tsong-Lang City was covered with a huge blue energy shield that was constantly activated. With just one look, Lin Fei could tell that the shield had a strong defense. He had heard about it along the way, and now it seemed that it really lived up to its reputation. This is definitely a technological method. Lin Fei squinted his eyes and walked towards the city gate. Every time he entered the city, he had to pay a piece of energy block. This entrance fee was not small. After a year, the entrance fee would definitely be a huge figure. Lin Fei did not encounter any trouble from the guards at the city gate. This was also because he was prepared. Through the system, he had duplicated an empire medal. This empire medal was of the lowest grade and was sufficient to enter the city. Although Tsong-Lang City was magnificent, in fact, there were special measures set up. Whenever blacklisted people entered the city gate would show them. Many blacklisted people tried to sneak into the city, but were all discovered and sent to the mines. Lin Fei was very confident about the empire medal that he duplicated. Therefore, Lin Fei openly entered Tsong-Lang City, the central city of this star field. After entering the city, Lin Fei first found an inn to stay in. Following that, for the next 5 to 6 days, he basically spent all his time outside to gather information. He had gained a lot. There was not much information about the Judgment Palace. Recently, the most popular news in Tsong-Lang City was about the Capital Institute. Tsong-Lang City had an organization to deal with the Capital Institute. Lin Fei had a deep understanding of the Capital Institute. This was an institution established by the emperor himself. It was above all other colleges. Those who graduated from the Capital Institute were all outstanding people. If they were not in the military, they would become the elders of a faction. It could be said that those who graduated from the Capital Institute were very popular. The Capital Institute recruited students once every 5 years. The assessment was very strict. The percentage of students who could enter the Capital Institute was very low. Even so, there were countless geniuses who signed up for the recruitment. This was because the geniuses who graduated from the Capital Institute had another identity. They were the disciples of the emperor. This honor was not something that anyone could obtain. As long as they did not commit any crimes in the empire, they could sleep peacefully for the rest of their lives. No matter what, they had an unimaginable advantage over others. This was also one of the reasons why the Capital Institute was popular. Everyone wanted to stand out, and the Capital Institute was the first choice. The temptation of being the disciple of the emperor was not small either. Lin Fei was very interested in the Capital Institute. The resources of the Capital Institute were unimaginable. It controlled many mystic realms. The resources of various sizes were unimaginable. It's very difficult to become a student of the Capital Institute. Others might not have a chance, but I have a very high chance. I also want to know if the Capital Institute has all the occupations I saw previously. Chapter 2370. Song Lang City, the administrative center of the 38 star sectors. The Expeditionary Empire had 38 star sectors under its jurisdiction. Each star sector had its own administrative center and was also the most prosperous place in the entire star sector. Regardless of whether one was from a powerful faction or a nouveau riche, anyone who came to Song Lang City would be shocked by the prosperity of the administrative center. It would also make them realize how insignificant they were. Recently, the hottest topic in Song Lang City was the Capital College's preliminary selection. To any genius, being able to enter the Capital College was the glory of a lifetime. Once they graduated from the Capital College, their status would be different, and they would stand at the top for the rest of their lives. There would be people coming to the Capital College office in Song Lang City every day to gather information. Some of the spies even kept watch all day long, not wanting to miss out on any news. The Capital College assessment that was held once every 5 years attracted the attention of countless people. There was nothing more influential than the Capital College. Song Lang City, the governor's residence. The most powerful place in the entire Song Lang Star sector, the Expeditionary Guard was not included. Recently, the higher-ups of the judgment team were not in a good mood because of a piece of bad news. They had completely lost contact with the geniuses who had gone to the remote sacred world. If not for the fact that the life tablet left behind by the geniuses had not been broken, they would have suspected that they had been killed. Still no news. In the governor's residence, in the main hall, a voice that was neither soft nor loud reverberated, filled with an irresistible pressure. It was as if a giant was pressing down on them. Below the throne, a dozen or so people were pale and sweating. They lowered their heads, not daring to look at the person in front of them. Not yet, not yet. His voice sounded powerless. Continue to search. We must get to the bottom of this. Everyone is watching the judgment team. If our geniuses do not return this time, you all know the consequences. In the blink of an eye, more than 10 days had passed since he arrived at Song Lang City. In these 10 days, Lin Fei had not been idle. He had learned about the Expeditionary Empire, the Capital College, and many secrets. It was an eye-opening experience. Lin Fei pondered for a while and decided to go to the Capital College to take a look. Originally, Lin Fei had wanted to find a place to secretly absorb the origin energy. Unfortunately, the origin energy in Song Lang City and even the entire star sector was incomparably powerful. He had tried to plunder the origin energy many times, but an accident had occurred in the star sector. Yes, it was an accident. At that time, Lin Fei was so angry that he almost jumped up and down. If origin energy could not be absorbed, then the powerful system would lose most of its functions, such as duplication. Lin Fei would not be so stupid as to waste the origin energy he had on hand. Inside Imperial College, there were unimaginable resources. It was said that there were special plants that could be used to make energy blocks. Lin Fei's thoughts became urgent. The star domain had been cursed countless times, and all his plans had been disrupted, forcing him to go to Imperial College. Songlang City, Occupation Certification Management Office. In the 38 star regions, every star region and every city had a professional certification management office. Songlang City's Occupation Certification Management Office occupied a huge area. Since Songlang City was the administrative center, there were countless people who came here for the certification every day. Being certified here was equivalent to receiving a portion of the Empire's benefits. Sigh, there haven't been any good classes appearing recently. That's right. Usually only ordinary jobs appear. There isn't a single powerful job. I've heard that the neighboring star field has recently given birth to several powerful jobs. In the lobby of the management office, 2 staff members were chatting about the recent happenings. Imperial College's preliminaries are about to begin. How many prodigies from Songlang City do you think will make it? There must be at least a few dozen of them. During the last preliminary selection, a total of 32 people from Songlang City passed the preliminary selection, and 6 of them were admitted into the Capital Institute. I heard that the prodigies from the Judgment Hall have all gone for training. They say that they are the biggest competitors this time. I heard that too. I heard that they disappeared for 200 years just to prepare for the preliminaries. I heard that this year's recruitment has a different meaning. The great emperor places great importance on it. All the prodigies of the empire have given up on the previous Imperial College and are all here for this assessment. The 2 of them could not help but look envious. Because this year's Imperial College was different from the previous ones, it had a special meaning. All the prodigies had chosen to participate in the assessment this year. If they could stand out among the prodigies and catch the eye of the great emperor, their future would be limitless. The prodigies of the 38 star regions were all ready to compete. Is this the place for certification? As they were chatting enthusiastically, a sudden voice interrupted their conversation. A young man dressed in ordinary clothes had appeared in the hall out of nowhere. The 2 of them glanced at him and knew that he was an ordinary person. There were countless people like him every day. Yes, this is the place for certification. Each certification requires 10 energy blocks. The person who had entered was, of course, Lin Fei. Although he had the Empire Medal and was no longer an unregistered citizen, certification was a must. Actually, Lin Fei could have used the system to make it. However, after the origin energy was blocked, he had to be careful when using the origin energy units. Even a simple matter had become complicated. Lin Fei had no choice but to come to the certification office. First job certification? Yes, first job certification, Lin Fei said. This way. Under the guidance of the staff, Lin Fei came to a room on the left of the lobby. Job certification was not that troublesome. In fact, it was very simple. The staff took out a crystal ball. This crystal ball was extraordinary. At first glance, it gave off the impression that it was a treasure. In fact, the crystal ball was indeed a treasure. This is a magic energy detection ball made by the Empire. It can detect the 4 major attributes. In fact, Lin Fei had already understood some of the procedures of the certification office. The magic energy technology ball was a very good treasure. It specialized in identifying the 4 major attributes. What job do you want to be certified for? The staff asked as usual. The 4 major attributes were tested for certification, and there was also job certification. For job certification, the Empire had a set of certification procedures that they were familiar with. Roaring Warrior. The staff did not listen carefully at first. Usually, the people who came for certification were mostly ordinary people. As for those with money and background, they had to make appointments in advance. Roaring Warrior? The staff thought it was an ordinary job. Just as he was about to register, he subconsciously stopped. This name sounds a little familiar. Roaring warrior. What? You want to be certified as a roaring warrior? The staff could not remain calm anymore. He stared at the young man. Are you sure you want to be certified as a roaring warrior? Chapter 2371. As the leader of the Certification Management Office, Yuan Fei was not in a good mood these few days. The reason for his bad mood was simple. The Songlong Star region had been suppressed by the neighboring star regions. Recently, there had been a lot of good news coming out of their star region. For example, a certain profession had been certified successfully, or a certain profession was regarded as a first-rate profession with a bright future, etc. In contrast, the Songlong Star region had produced 2 or 3 first-rate professions in the past few years. The rest were common professions. As a result, every time Yuan Fei returned to the imperial capital for a report, he would lose face and be ridiculed by his colleagues. However, he could not come up with any useful rebuttal. In a month's time, I'll have to go for a report. This year is the same as last year. Yuan Fei put down the documents and could not help but smile bitterly. The Songlong Star region was getting worse year by year. Basically, most of the certifications were for third-rate and fourth-rate professions. Second-rate professions were too ordinary in front of those first-rate professions. Recently, there had been good news coming from the nearby star regions. Not long ago, a good friend had even specially sent him a message to remind him. Boss, bad news, bad news. Before Yuan Fei could finish lamenting, he was pushed away. Yuan Fei pulled a long face. Little Zhang, how many times have I told you to knock before entering? Have you forgotten the rules? Get out now. Little Zhang was one of the staff outside. He had barged in a moment of excitement and had forgotten that his boss hated it when people barged in. He had to knock before entering. Boss, let me explain. Little Zhang was anxious. It's not that I've forgotten the rules, but this matter is too serious. Just now a young man came to our hall. He wants to get his profession certified, and it's a top-level profession. Boss, you said last time that this kind of certification must be done by you. So, Yuan Fei was really angry. He was in a bad mood, but his subordinates were not sensible, so his mood was naturally not good. Just as he was about to chase little Zhang out, he heard a few familiar words. Roaring warrior, top-level profession. Wait, you said someone wants to get a top-level profession. Roaring warrior? Yuan Fei stood up with a whoosh. His eyes looked as if he wanted to eat someone. Yes, someone wants to get a roaring warrior certification. Yuan Fei felt as if he had been hit by a piece of pie. Bring me there immediately. Quick! Yuan Fei was completely unable to remain calm. He had to see this young man immediately. If this was true, Lin Fei was arranged to be in the reception room, and the staff brought him fragrant tea. His attitude changed drastically. This is the right step. No one can resist the temptation of a peak profession, no matter where they are. Besides, this is the Certification Administration Office. As Lin Fei took a sip of the fragrant tea, the door to the reception room was pushed open, and a middle-aged man dressed in green entered. Are you the one who wants to be certified as a roaring warrior? Lin Fei knew that this person should be the leader in charge of this place. Little Zhang rarely saw his boss so moved, so he took the initiative to introduce, Your Excellency, this is the person in charge of our Certification Management Office, Lord Yuan. The certification of a top profession requires the highest person in charge of the management office to certify it. Lin Fei smiled. That's right, it's me. Yuan Fei was slightly disappointed when he saw the other party. No matter how he looked at it, the other party seemed to be a roaring warrior, a peak profession, and had nothing to do with it. However, he saw absolute confidence in the other party, which was very rare. For him to have such confidence, he must have 120% confidence in his certification. At this moment, Yuan Fei was a little doubtful. Could this young man really have the ability? First transition profession certification was not an easy thing to do. Ordinary third or fourth grade professions could be certified in one try, but second and first grade professions were extremely difficult. As for peak professions, there might not even be one in decades. The difficulty was extremely high, as difficult as ascending to heaven. Do you know about the Roaring Warrior? It is one of the Empire's peak professions, and its future is limitless. But you should know that the difficulty of the peak profession certification, especially the first transition certification, is very high. There might not even be 1 out of 10,000 people who succeed. Do you really want to get certified? Moreover, once you fail, you won't be able to get certified again for at least 3 to 5 years. Yuan Fei was a very good person in charge. Regardless of whether the other party was here to fool him, Yuan Fei was willing to give him a chance based on the other party's absolute confidence. For such things, it was better to be safe than sorry. What if he really succeeded? Yuan Fei did not want to miss this opportunity. This was his only chance to turn things around. Once he was certified as a peak profession in his own territory, those who had mocked him back then would be dumbfounded at the meeting a month later. At that time, their expressions would definitely be very pleasing to look at. Thank you for your reminder, sir. Regarding the certification, I have already thought it through. Moreover, I am confident that the certification will succeed. Lin Fei said. Yuan Fei rarely saw such a confident young man. It was as if for a moment he felt that he had aged. Even a young man was more confident than him. Before the certification, as the person in charge of the certification, I have to introduce you to the peak profession certification. This was not a necessary procedure like in the past. It was a description of the peak profession certification. In fact, the peak profession certification was not a small matter. For third or fourth grade professions, it was not difficult at all. As long as one's attributes reached a certain level, they would be able to obtain the certification. The peak profession certification had a certain amount of risk. Success was often accompanied by failure or even death. Yuan Fei felt that there was a need to make things clear first. After talking for about the time it took for an incense to burn, Yuan Fei explained the peak profession certification, the things to take note of, etc. He then brought Lin Fei to the depths of the ground. This is the certification space of our certification administration. Lin Fei had long understood the process of the certification. It was a special space opened up by the experts of the Expeditionary Empire. In this space, a special energy would be produced. Only by reaching a certain level of the 4 major attributes would one be able to obtain the certification of the special energy in this special space. Then, congratulations, the peak profession certification was successful. Once the peak profession certification was successful, one's strength would change. At the same time, one would obtain some of the instinctive skills of the peak profession certification. Although many people wanted to understand the secrets of this space, until now, no one had figured out what was going on. In fact, Lin Fei also wanted to experience this mysterious certification space and see what was so mysterious about it. Yuan Fei reminded Lin Fei again and opened this mysterious space. All right, you can go in. Inside, you will have 3 days to certify. I wish you success. Thank you. Lin Fei took a deep breath and walked into this mysterious space. With a rumble, the door closed again. Don't let me down. Chapter 2372. A bright light flashed. Lin Fei was in a special space. Lin Fei had been to many places like space secret realms, but no matter how magical they weren't as magical and special as the space in front of him. What a strange place. Lin Fei observed his surroundings. What was different from other places was that he seemed to be in a starry sky, and the world in his eyes had become a myriad of stars. Real, very real. It wasn't virtual reality, but real existence. At least, that was what Lin Fei felt now. Lin Fei tried to walk a few steps, and it was as if he was walking in the starry sky. It was very real. Master, don't be fooled by the scene in front of you. Little Devil suddenly said, You said that this is fake. Lin Fei was very confused. Based on his perception, this place seemed real, and everything seemed to be real. However, these words were said by Little Devil, so he had to believe it. Seeing was believing, but it could also be fake. Master, don't be impatient. If the scene in front of him was fake, Lin Fei really admired the person who made the certification space. He was definitely a genius. Even a top expert might not be able to make it. What a professional! Authenticator, please come up. While Lin Fei was waiting, a cold voice came from the space. It was emotionless, just like the system's voice. The most unbelievable thing was that the voice was almost the same. For a moment, Lin Fei suspected that the system was reminding him. Damn, how can there be such a voice? Dumbfounded. In such a place, no one would be calm when they met a voice similar to the system. Lin Fei was the same, and he hesitated for a while before coming back to his senses. Expeditionary Empire, civilized technology, could there be such an existence? Lin Fei didn't walk up. Who knew what was waiting for him? It was better to wait for Little Devil. Master, it's fine if you go up. Give me a little more time, and I will be able to understand everything here. Little Devil said very domineeringly, Understand everything? This time, Lin Fei's expression changed. The establishment of the Expeditionary Empire had probably obtained the technology of the civilization. No wonder there were so many professions. Do I have to come here after I get the system? Lin Fei took a deep breath and walked forward. With Little Devil's words, his heart calmed down. No matter how awesome this place was compared to Little Devil, there was obviously a gap. After all, Little Devil was a virtual life form created by the system. After walking for a long time, a high platform appeared in front of Lin Fei. It was a huge platform. Lin Fei walked up step by step. After a short while, he arrived at the high platform. Welcome, Authenticator. I am the Authenticating Space's assistant. Please stand still while the assistant scans your data. A burst of light enveloped Lin Fei's body. Lin Fei wasn't worried at all. His data could be modified. Even the assistant in front of him might not be able to scan it. What he got was nothing more than virtual data. Scanning. Analyzing. Lin Fei wasn't stupid. He realized that the authenticating space relied on the system to authenticate. It was more accurate than humans, and there wouldn't be any problems. Fortunately, I came. If I really simulated the authentication, there would be problems. The Expeditionary Empire is full of evil. Little Devil was more powerful than he imagined. Master, it's done. Do you want to take control of this system? Lin Fei was startled as if he heard wrongly. What? You want to control this system? Yes, just now. I hacked into this system through the system. As long as Master says the word, I will be able to take control of the system, and no one will find out. Little Devil's words were sonorous and powerful. Lin Fei was also stimulated. This place was really controlled by a system. Lin Fei didn't doubt that the Expeditionary Empire was a country with advanced technology. This was the combination of technology and power. Advanced technology, a great world. Are you sure it's okay? Lin Fei asked worriedly. This matter involved too much. Once it was exposed, the entire Expeditionary Empire would make a move on him. Even the strongest person would make a move on him. Just thinking about it gave him a headache. Safety was the most important thing. To control the system and expose himself, Lin Fei definitely wouldn't agree. Master, don't worry. The system in this space is actually just a piece of equipment. It doesn't have any intelligence, and the program is very rigid. There's no contact with the outside world. Controlling this kind of system is as easy as blowing off dust in my eyes. All right, then control it well. Got it. Lin Fei thought about it and agreed. Little Devil controlling this equipment would be of great help. When the time comes, there wouldn't be any problems with the authentication. Although Lin Fei wasn't afraid of trouble, it would be best if he could solve it. Master, I've already controlled this equipment and obtained some information. I'll transfer it to you immediately. A large amount of information was transmitted over. After being summarized by Little Devil, it was sent into Lin Fei's mind. He easily received all of it. Among the information that came in, there was information about the professions of the Expeditionary Empire. It was even more detailed than the outside world. It could be said that Lin Fei easily obtained a database of professions. No one would have thought that a piece of equipment would be controlled by someone else. Even if those strong people came, they wouldn't be able to control the equipment. Perhaps it was because of this that the Expeditionary Empire established a certification management office. It was a pity that this time, Lin Fei was someone with a system. He easily controlled the equipment and copied the data inside. So this is what certification is all about. After digesting the information, Lin Fei finally understood. Certification allowed people to absorb the power of the 4 main attributes under preset circumstances. Only by meeting the requirements of the system would the certification be successful. At the same time, each profession would have additional profession talents. This kind of profession talent was activated by the equipment. As for what kind of talent could be activated, it depended on the individual and also depended on the individual's luck. It didn't look like it was easy, but in reality it wasn't like that. The difficulty wasn't small, especially the first-class and top-notch profession certifications. The difficulty was very high, and the failure rate was very high. This wasn't arranged by the equipment. The success rate was low to begin with. In that case, if I want to be certified as a roaring warrior now, I don't need to absorb the power of the 4 main attributes. I can do it in one step, right? Yes, it can be done in one step. In a place like the certification space, even if that person came, he wouldn't be able to see any clues. It's 100% safe. Chapter 2373. It's the last day. Certification Management Office. In front of the underground door. Yuan Fei didn't know how many times he had said this. He had never been so anxious before. A roaring warrior, a top-notch job. Once he succeeded, his future would be limitless. As the last day arrived, Yuan Fei's heart kept sinking. With his many years of experience, the shorter the time, the higher the success rate. Once the 3rd day arrived, be it in terms of energy or other aspects, their condition would decline. The chances of success were very low. Back then, Yuan Fei remembered that there was a genius who was certified as a top-notch job. He only came out on the 3rd day. In the end, he didn't succeed. Instead, his vitality was greatly damaged. Later on, he was certified as a second-rate job. Yuan Fei was very worried. This was related to his future. The news in the Certification Management Office was blocked by Yuan Fei. He was worried that it would cause trouble outside. Before he was sure, Yuan Fei wouldn't release the news. If he didn't succeed, he would become a joke. He wouldn't be able to raise his head in front of his colleagues. There's only 2 hours left. The door didn't open. Yuan Fei sighed. The chances of him succeeding were very low. He still hoped that he would succeed. This was his only chance to turn things around. If he missed this chance, he didn't know when it would appear again. You have to succeed. Humans were selfish. Yuan Fei was one of them. Once he succeeded, he would be able to use this chance to leave Songlong Star region. Yuan Fei, the person in charge, hoped that he would succeed more than anyone else. It's over. It's over. There's no hope. There was still 1 hour left. Yuan Fei had completely given up on him. If he still didn't come out, he wouldn't succeed. Yuan Fei was very depressed. He turned around and prepared to leave. Under such circumstances, almost no one could succeed. No matter who it was the same. Yuan Fei hadn't taken a few steps when he suddenly heard a cracking sound behind him. That sound was very pleasant to his ears. This is outside the door. A pale-faced Lin Fei walked out, his body swaying slightly. Yuan Fei turned his head and saw that extremely confident young man. His spirit, energy, and spirit were all very poor, but there was absolute confidence on his face. Lord Yuan, I didn't let you down. I succeeded. Yuan Fei's heart shook. His body also trembled slightly. He was too excited. Ha ha ha, that's great. I succeeded. Certification Management Office in a courtyard. Lin Fei was arranged to stay here, and Yuan Fei brought medicinal pills to help Lin Fei recover from his injuries. It could be said that he was a scout who treated him like an ancestor. This is the right step. Only by coming out at the last moment will no one suspect what happened in the certification space. Sitting at the head of the bed, Lin Fei's face was still a little pale. This was done on purpose to prevent others from suspecting him. His job certification was much easier than the average person's, and he did not need to do anything. The little demon had already settled everything. It was very easy for Lin Fei to become a first transition roaring warrior. No, it should be a death god roaring warrior. As for why there was an additional Grim Reaper, Lin Fei himself was very surprised. The same was true for the little demoness. She did not understand what was going on. According to the Book of Life, he was a death god roaring warrior. Compared to the previous name, this class was much more impressive. As long as Lin Fei did not take out the Book of Life, no one would suspect that there was a problem with his class. Right now, he was a genuine roaring warrior. With the little demon's help, Lin Fei was the most powerful roaring warrior in history. Flipping through the class, he also had a deep understanding of the roaring warrior. From now on, he had a deep understanding of how to make the roaring warrior class stronger. Master, your death god roaring warrior should be the most powerful of all the classes. Even the current storm warrior is not a match for Master. My luck is not bad. I actually obtained 3 talent skills, one stronger than the other. Does this count as my luck being off the charts? After the certification was successful, Lin Fei obtained a talent skill. Under normal circumstances, the average person would have 1 skill, but Lin Fei was different. He obtained 3 skills, and they were all very good skills. At least, during this period of time, Lin Fei had not heard of anyone obtaining 3 talent skills after the certification. Skill 1, Terrifying Roar. This was a must-have skill for roaring warriors. As the name suggested, Terrifying Roar was a very powerful skill. Within a certain range, it could carry out 2 attacks. One was a physical attack, and the other was a mental attack. It could be said to be a domineering and brutal killer move. This skill consumed a lot of energy. For Lin Fei, this was not a problem. As long as he found an opportunity to replenish his energy, Terrifying Roar could be used as many times as it came. It was a terrifying torture for the enemy. Skill 2, Grim Reaper's Eye. This was also a powerful skill, the Grim Reaper's Eye. Once it was used, it could imprison an opponent. The length of time depended on the opponent's strength, and the lowest duration was 3 seconds. During these 3 seconds, the opponent wouldn't be able to move and wouldn't be able to use anything. When experts fought, life and death could be decided in 1 second. This skill was more powerful than Terrifying Roar. First a Grim Reaper's Eye, then a Terrifying Roar. Almost no one could withstand it. It was best if they were seriously injured. Skill 3, Infinite Plunder. This was the most terrifying of the 3 skills. The first 2 were offensive, but this skill was amazing. Within a certain range, it could plunder all life essence, which was the opponent's energy. However, such a domineering move could only be used once a day. This talent skill was so powerful that it defied the heavens. When a person's energy was almost depleted, once it was used violently, there was no need to fight at all. They could plunder as much as they came. Moreover, Lin Fei was not worried that there would be a situation where he could not hold them. The system was an amazing container. Lin Fei dared to guarantee that if news of these 3 innate skills spread out, the entire empire would be shocked. He decided that under normal circumstances, he definitely wouldn't use these 2 innate skills. Yes, it was the last 2 innate skills. Once he used them, he wouldn't leave anyone alive. Peak Professions only had 1 innate skill, while he had 3 innate skills. Moreover, each was more heaven-defying than the last. Keeping a low profile was the best choice. On the other side, Yuan Fei was in a very good mood. He was smiling wherever he went. Chapter 2374. Outside Songlang City, Expeditionary Guard. As the great emperor's special department that monitored the star field, it was established in a quiet place outside Songlang City. Usually, unless something big happened, the Expeditionary Guard rarely interfered with the star field's affairs unless there was an order from the top. Only then would they interfere. During the year, the Expeditionary Guards were basically all in the branch, except for the necessary information gathering. The Expeditionary Guard had become an invisible existence in the star field. As a deacon of the Expeditionary Guard, Xiao Mingshan's daily task was to read the collected information and choose some to send to the top. It was a very easy task. Sigh, it's not good to be too quiet. Xiao Mingshan put down a document and rubbed his forehead. Every day was a trivial matter. After a long time, he naturally lost interest. The Expeditionary Guard monitored the star field's movements. Their spies were all over the star field. In fact, there was really no movement. This is the last one. Xiao Mingshan picked up the last document. When he saw the words on it, his expression changed slightly. Yuan Fei from the Serious Management Department. He knew Yuan Fei. He was the person in charge of the Serious Management Department. Yuan Fei had been in Songlang Star Field for decades and had never been promoted. In fact, there were very few high-level professionals in Songlang Star Field. The top's impression was that they were incompetent. How did he find the time to send a message? Did a first-rate profession appear? But even if it's a first-rate profession, he doesn't need to send a document. Xiao Mingshan could not figure out why Yuan Fei would send it. He decided to open it and take a look. Roaring warrior, a peak profession? The information inside was very short, but it had a huge impact on Xiao Mingshan. He stood up. A peak profession actually appeared in Songlang Starfield, and it's a roaring warrior. This is big news. Xiao Mingshan had the responsibility of monitoring the star field. At the same time, he had another responsibility, which was to select some outstanding talents for the empire. All these years, the star field had been very peaceful. However, the empire had not done a good job in selecting talents. This had always been a sore point for Xiao Mingshan. Usually, there were not many first-rate professions. Suddenly, a peak profession appeared. Moreover, it was a roaring warrior who majored in strength, one of the 4 major attributes. This was definitely a talent that the empire needed. Xiao Mingshan himself was a second-rate class, so he was very clear on the strength of a peak class. Once a peak class matured, it would be equivalent to the empire having a war god great general. That's great. This won't do. I have to go and confirm it immediately. The news of a master class appearing in the Serious Management Office cannot be hidden for long. Once it gets out, all the forces in the star field will come to recruit him. Xiao Mingshan did not hesitate. He turned around and left the expedition guards. The person in charge of the Expeditionary Guard, Xiao Mingshan, personally came over. Yuan Fei was overwhelmed by the favor. They were both staff members of the empire, but their power was completely different. The Expeditionary Guard had the power to kill. Deacon Xiao, why are you here? Xiao Mingshan was a tall and strong man. He casually said, "Not bad, you finally did a good deed. You found a good seedling without a sound. I have to congratulate you. Maybe you can take this opportunity to return to the imperial capital to work." Yuan Fei could not help but reveal a trace of joy. However, he said, "We are all working for the empire. What's there to talk about returning to the imperial capital to work?" Xiao Mingshan did not expose him. Yuan Fei had made a great contribution, so his chances of returning to the imperial capital were very high. This was something that everyone envied. Even if his position was not as high after returning, it was still something that others would envy. Right, is the Roaring Warrior kid still here? Xiao Mingshan had to personally come over to find a peak class talent. He also had to investigate the other party's information. in case he was a spy sent by an enemy nation. When he comes out, he must be weak. I've arranged for him to stay in the courtyard to recuperate. What's his background? Yuan Fei said, no problem. He came from a small world outside the star field. It's not easy to impersonate someone from our empire. The authentication space will not allow him to pass. The people of the empire all have demonic qi in their bodies. There is no way to hide it. That kid's aura is pure. He is not someone from the empire. I can guarantee this. Xiao Mingshan also believed Yuan Fei's words. After all, the star field's Conglang city was not ordinary. There was an array formation at the city gate. If someone from the Celestial Beast Empire wanted to sneak in, they would not be able to pass the city gate. Not to mention the authentication office's checkpoint. If he was able to pass the authentication successfully, then he must be someone from the empire. The Expeditionary Empire controlled a large territory. Although there were 38 star fields, there were still some territories that were not included. It was not impossible for 1 or 2 geniuses to appear in these places. I will arrange for an investigation. Lin Fei stayed in the courtyard for 3 days. Over the next 3 days, Yuan Fei had more or less recovered from his injuries, and he appeared once more. In these 3 days, Yuan Fei did not stay idle. He cooperated with Xiao Mingshan's investigation. The Expeditionary Guards mobilized a large amount of resources and really found some information. For example, there was no doubt that Lin Fei came from a small world outside the star field. In order to investigate Lin Fei, Xiao Mingshan did not hesitate to use his treasures. Fortunately, Xiao Mingshan was not disappointed. Lin Fei was indeed someone from a small world. It was not easy for him to reach this step. Little Lin, have you rested well these days? Yuan Fei came in with a smile. When Lin Fei saw the other party smile, he knew that the issue of identity information had been resolved. Previously, he specially went to a small world and spent a lot of time to create an identity to confuse everyone. When Xiao Mingshan arranged for people to go to that small world, Lin Fei's arrangements were activated. Their actions were seen clearly. When Yuan Fei came today, Lin Fei was relieved. Lin Fei cupped his hands and said, "Thank you, Sir Yuan, for your care. My injuries have almost recovered." After Yuan Fei confirmed that the identity information was correct from Xiao Mingshan, he was completely relieved. After all, no matter how important a genius was, if he was someone from the empire, no matter how good he was, he would still be crippled. Fortunately, the scene that he worried about did not happen. Lin Fei was also registered in the Expeditionary Guards. Good, that's good. Yuan Fei smiled and said, "I wonder what little Lin is planning to do next." Lin Fei said helplessly, "Master Yuan, I've been having a headache over this matter recently. When I first came to the Conglang star sector, it was also to verify my profession. Who knew that I would be a howling warrior? I really didn't have any plans for my upcoming journey." This was exactly what Yuan Fei wanted. "Little Lin, if you don't mind me being long-winded, I have a few suggestions for you to choose." Yuan Fei said kindly. Chapter 2375. In the end, the news from the Certification Management Office spread. Yuan Fei was very secretive. He did not want the news to spread out so quickly. Coupled with the news from the Expeditionary Guards, the news about the Howling Warriors had spread throughout the entire Conglang city in a few days. It was even spreading out at an extremely fast speed. Top-class Howling Warrior. Oh my God, this is incredible. Our Conglang star field also has a top class. Howling Warrior is a top class with terrifying combat power. He will definitely become a rank 8 powerhouse in the future, and a top existence among the rank 8s. Once the news spread, there was an uproar. The Howling Warrior was a class that had not appeared for hundreds of years. Once it appeared, it would definitely cause a sensation. Conglang Star Field would be excited for a long time when a top class appeared, not to mention the rare Howling Warrior top class. Some major forces in Songlang City were the first to receive the news. After a long history, the nature of the Expeditionary Guard began to change. The great emperor had always been in seclusion and rarely appeared. All the power was given to the subordinates, and the Expeditionary Guard, who were the eyes and ears of the Expeditionary Guard, also began to change. For example, some people planted by the major forces, etc. As long as it was not really top-secret information, it could not be hidden and would soon be spread out. The Expeditionary Guard was also used to this. The first to know was the city, Lord's Mansion. As the controller of the Star Field and the governor of the border, no news could be hidden from their eyes and ears, unless they did not want to know. Region Lord, the news has been confirmed. That person came from a small world and obtained some benefits by chance. He seems to have been enlightened and successfully certified a few days ago. He has a top-class Howling Warrior. A top class, even if he had not grown up, was still worthy of attention. Immediately send a generous gift on behalf of the city, Lord's Mansion, to test his attitude and see if he can be drawn to our side. The person on the throne said lightly, "Yes, sir." The person retreated. The person on the throne said to himself, "Interesting, Songlang Star Field has a top class, a Howling Warrior who majored in strength." Imperial College Branch. They also received the news as soon as possible. Li Xiong, the head of the school branch, showed a rare smile on his face. He immediately found someone. God is helping me. If this genius is willing to participate in the selection, he will be the top student of this year's Rookie King. The professional geniuses from other star areas may not be a match for the Roaring Warrior. As a historically significant selection, this year's Capital Institute selection was grander than any other. All the prides from previous years had chosen to participate in this assessment just to prepare for this year's selection. Li Xiong had been worried that this year the Songlang Star Zone could not find a genius profession that would make people's eyes shine. The appearance of this person with a clear identity was undoubtedly the best choice. If the other party became the newcomer king of this year's selection, as the branch head, it was very likely that he would become a teacher in the academy. There was no better news than this. You go to contact this genius immediately. No, it's better for me to go in person, so as not to spoil the good thing. Li Xiong decided to go by himself. After the news spread, all of a sudden, a sea of people filled the certification office. They all wanted to see this heaven-defying genius, and there were even some who came for certification, hoping to reach the heavens in a single bound. Lin Fei didn't leave the yard of the certification office. There was no quieter place than this. Ordinary people didn't dare to break in. This was an institution of the empire. Attacking an institution of the empire was a felony and would be punished with capital punishment. Big forces are really big forces. They are all generous. Lin Fei looked at the gift sent and couldn't help but laugh. These forces basically sent energy blocks, which were basically between 100,000 and 200,000. For them, this was just a drop in the bucket. If they could leave an impression on the future top profession, this was a much more cost-effective deal. City Lord's Mansion, 1 million energy blocks. What a generous gift. In just 1 or 2 days, Lin Fei received a lot of gifts. He had no taboo, so he didn't refuse any of them. He would eat the sugar first. Those who tried to invite him, Lin Fei just smiled perfunctorily. Lin Fei had no interest in joining any force. His ambition was not here. Looking at the time, that person should be here. As soon as he finished speaking, Yuan Fei pushed the door and came in, looking very excited. Xiaolin, Minister Li is here. Lin Fei smiled. Minister Li Xiong was the minister of the Imperial College branch. He had the privilege to recommend a person to skip the primary selection and enter the next round. This privilege was rarely used. For this privilege, the big forces of the Songlang Star Zone had come to greet him, but Li Xiong hadn't made a decision yet. Li Xiong was also glad that he didn't use his recommendation right. Roaring Warrior, a top profession recommended by him. Those people of the Imperial College would definitely look at him differently. This time, Li Xiong came in person. In any case, this talent must be recommended. If someone else got it first, it would really be a joke. The news just came out, and it was not a big deal. But once the minister of the neighboring star zone knew it, things would not be simple. Li Xiong decided to make a quick decision. Minister Li, why are you here? Why don't you inform me? There is no need to come all the way here. Yuan Fei accompanied Li Xiong carefully. Li Xiong was expressionless. He treated everyone the same. In addition, sitting in the position of minister, he had a strong aura of a superior. Ordinary people could not stand his coercion. Talents are rare. Yuan Fei flattered Li Xiong a few times. It was also a very good thing to show his face in front of Minister Li. If he was lucky, Li Xiong could be transferred back to the Imperial College with this matter alone. Li Xiong soon saw Lin Fei in a black robe. He was very ordinary, but he had confidence that ordinary people did not have, and his spirit had become different. Little Lin, this is Minister Li of the Imperial College branch. Yuan Fei introduced. I'm Lin Fei. Nice to meet you, Minister Li. Lin Fei said casually. After scanning with the system, he found that Li Xiong's strength was not bad. His combat power actually had 30 million combat power. He must be a 4th or 5th stage professional powerhouse. Show me your strength. Li Xiong narrowed his eyes and shot out a sharp black sword chi. As soon as the sword chi came out, everything was silent. Lin Fei felt that a sword chi appeared in front of him. The sword chi came aggressively, and his whole person seemed to be in a battlefield in an instant. Horrifying roar. Lin Fei knew that this was to test him. The success of the Roaring Warrior certification could not be achieved in a few words. So he stamped one foot, raised his head, and launched Horrifying Roar, one of the 3 talent professions. Chapter 2376. Roar, roar, roar. Terrifying Roar was a special sound wave attack, which was originally aimed at the Sea of Consciousness. The profession of Roaring Warrior had mutated, and it attacked both the body and the Sea of Consciousness. Oh no! Yuan Fei did not expect that Minister Li would test it on the spot. As soon as Terrifying Roar was launched, there was a trace of panic in his heart. He hurriedly set up a protective body in front of him. The moment it was set up, the protective body exploded. At the same time, his body trembled slightly. The sound wave attack penetrated the protective body and entered the Sea of Consciousness. The Sea of Consciousness also began to collapse a little. What a powerful, terrifying roar. This is only a 1st stage professional. Yuan Fei was not strong. He was just a 2nd stage professional expert, and he deeply felt the threat of Terrifying Roar. It was the first time for Yuan Fei to see the horror of Roaring Warrior. The attack of this kind of talent skill could be said to be a fatal blow to anyone. No one could be safe and sound in this situation. Li Xiong, a 5th stage professional expert, was much easier to deal with. He also set up a protective body to block the opponent's Terrifying Roar, but the protective body also left a lot of marks. Yes, it is indeed Terrifying Roar. Li Xiong was very satisfied. With such power in the 1st stage professional, his future was limitless. He was now in a high realm. Once the opponent was a 4th stage professional, or even a 3rd stage professional, he would not be able to deal with it as easily as today. The attack just now was also a kind of test. Please don't take it to heart, little brother. Yuan Fei suspected that he had heard it wrong. When did Minister Li Xiong become so easy to talk to? In the school branch, he was impartial and no one dared to talk to him. He was a typical old stone. If it was another place, he would have been beaten up. However, he had the shadow of the Capital Institute behind him, and no one dared not to give him face. Lin Fei's Terrifying Roar just now was not an all-out attack, but just at the level of a 1st stage professional. Even Minister Li Xiong could not see that Lin Fei's strength had reached the second stage professional. I can understand, and I won't mind. Lin Fei really didn't care. After a test of terrifying roar, he had an understanding of the power. It was very easy to deal with a first-stage professional of the same level, but a second-stage professional had a certain degree of difficulty. If he went all out, he could suppress a second-stage professional and even affect a third-stage professional. Li Xiong was very satisfied. This was a genuine top-notch profession. Even if he had just completed his first job, he had shown unimaginable fierceness and suppressed the first-class professions in the Songlong Star Zone. I am the head of the branch of Imperial College. I wonder if you are interested in further studies in Imperial College? Given your talent, it would be a pity if you don't. I can use my sole right to recommend you to skip the preliminary selection and directly enter the final selection. Li Xiong said sincerely. This kind of future strongman was worthy of Li Xiong's investment. Once he grew up in the future, his investment today would be huge. It's my honor to be able to study in Imperial College. Minister Li is here in person. If I still refuse, it would be too unkind of me. Lin Fei smiled. Li Xiong laughed. Well said. The matter was settled. Li Xiong was afraid of accidents, so he took out a communicator of Imperial College on the spot and reported Lin Fei's name. Lin Fei also saw the level of scientific and technological civilization of the Expeditionary Empire. It was really very advanced. The communication between the star areas was as convenient and easy as the video at the beginning. It was not a secret that Minister Li Xiong met Lin Fei in person. Since the profession of Roaring Warrior was spread out, the Certification Management Office was watched almost every day. Minister Li Xiong was famous, especially at this time. It was hard not to know him. Minister Li Xiong's sole right of recommendation was given to the newcomer Lin Fei. Lin Fei is the lucky one. He is exempted from all troubles and will definitely enter Imperial College in the future. Why did that guy take away the sole right of recommendation? Yes, he is a foreigner. Why? The matter of the right of recommendation could not be concealed. After it was spread, everyone was dumbfounded. Those big forces tried their best to get the sole right of recommendation from Minister Li, but in the end, it was taken away by a stranger. Even if the other party was a top-notch profession, everyone was very uncomfortable. This year's selection of Imperial College was different from any other. It was said that this year Imperial College and the Emperor happened to be the 1,000,000th birthday. This year, the Emperor would give a reward. Therefore, everyone wanted to come out on top in this selection so that they could get the reward from the Emperor. A 1,000,000th birthday was definitely a big event, and the reward would definitely not be bad. It might be a chance to reach the sky in one step. Now, the sole right of recommendation in Songlong Star territory was taken away, and no one would feel comfortable. This was tantamount to snatching food from a tiger's mouth. They had one more strong enemy, which was not a good sign. Minister Li is really shrewd. In the end, he chose Lin Fei. In the city lord's mansion, the domain lord laughed. But he doesn't know that in this way, the lucky one named Lin Fei will stand out. Everyone in the entire Songlong Star territory will regard him as the number one opponent. If it was in previous years, he would at most be in the limelight. But this time it's different. No one is willing to be robbed of the limelight on His Majesty's 1,000,000th birthday. Next, there will be a good show to watch. Domain Lord, do you want to warn them? The Domain Lord laughed. No need. Let's just sit and watch the show. Minister Li's recommendation right had been given to a newcomer. Not only were some of the major forces unhappy, but the elites of Songlong City were also unhappy. The Drunken Immortal Inn was one of the more famous restaurants in Songlong City. Ordinary people would not be able to come to this place. A glass of wine was worth 1,000 taels of gold, and those without some wealth could not afford it. Why did Minister Li give it to an outsider? I'm not convinced. What's so great about a howling warrior? I'm a first-rate professional, at the pinnacle of the first job transition. It's hard to say who will win. In a private room, 7 to 8 young people kept drinking and were in a bad mood. They were all elites of Songlong City. Each of them was a first-rate professional and could be considered the cream of the crop. Originally, they thought that the selection would be among them. They did not expect that an outsider would beat them to it. This made them very unhappy. If it had been one of them, they would have been convinced and would not have been so angry. Now that it had been given to an outsider, and a howling warrior at that, they subconsciously disliked him. Everyone, be careful with your words. Minister Li is an upright person. Since he gave it to an outsider like Lin Fei, he must have his reasons. He's a howling warrior, a top-notch professional. A young man sitting in the middle drank a mouthful of wine and said slowly. It sounded like he was doing it for everyone's sake, but if one listened carefully, it was undoubtedly a provocation. Brother Sun, I don't like hearing this. You're the strongest among us. Are you really willing to give it up? A long-haired young man said unhappily. That's right. Why? Just because he has a top-notch professional. The more they thought about it, the angrier they got. Brother Sun was actually the person who had spoken just now. His name was Sun Li, and he was an influential figure in Songlong City. Chapter 2377. Lin Fei didn't care about the news of the outside world. He lived in a separate yard in the Certification Administration Office, which saved him a lot of trouble. At the same time, he declined some banquet invitations, and the reason to the outside world was to consolidate his first profession. In fact, Lin Fei was indeed consolidating. Since he promised Minister Li, the Capital College branch took the initiative to send some information about the Roaring Warriors. After all, it was very easy for a Roaring Warrior to become a student of the Capital College. It was nothing more than a matter of ranking. Minister Li knew how to invest in advance. Now he was weak, but once he entered the Capital College, those old fogies would come out and fight for him. At that time, it would be difficult for Minister Li to meet him. This was the best time to invest. Lin Fei accepted it without hesitation. The information about the Roaring Warriors was not very detailed. Throughout the million years of the Empire expedition, the Roaring Warriors had only appeared more than 10 times. Every time they appeared, the Roaring Warriors would become the pillars of the Empire. Except for some who had fallen, there were only 3 Roaring Warriors left. For the Roaring Warrior profession, Lin Fei knew a lot. Now, combined with the information, he had a deeper understanding. It was not so easy to become a qualified and even powerful Roaring Warrior. Since Lin Fei wanted to become a Roaring Warrior, he needed to make preparations. He must not be seen through by others, so he had to study the Roaring Warriors carefully. The Roaring Warrior majored in strength, and the weapon was the most important. Most Roaring Warriors used long spears to cooperate with horrifying roar and cast some powerful skills. The skills of the Roaring Warriors are also very unique. They are not the same as cultivation methods. The Empire expedition is a combination of civilization and technology. If the cultivation method is practiced for a long time, the skills will be different. Mr. Deacon, bad news. After Li Xiong returned from the Certification Administration Office, he was in a very good mood. The Roaring Warrior was the star of tomorrow. Just thinking about it made him excited. After returning, Li Xiong sent the information about the Roaring Warriors. If it were not for some reasons, he would even take the initiative to send some cultivation methods and skills. This period of time was a good opportunity for Li Xiong to get closer to him. This morning, a deputy dean of the Capital College personally contacted him and praised him. The deputy dean was famous for being old fogies and rarely praised others. Today, his attitude changed 120 times. The most important thing was that the deputy dean revealed that the college was studying his work. This was what Li Xiong was most happy about. What's the matter? Why are you making such a fuss? Li Xiong was in a good mood recently because of Lin Fei's affairs. If it were in normal times, he would have scolded Li Xiong. "Mr. Warden, we just received news from the Certification Management Office. They said that some of the elites in Songlang City are not convinced. They said that they want to find trouble with Lin Fei." The man said cautiously. Bang! Li Xiong punched the table, and the table immediately fell apart. Bastard, who allowed them to find trouble. How dare they? Do they not want to participate in the selection? He was furious. If the genius Lin Fei was injured, it would affect the competition for the ranking of the Capital Institute in the near future. Li Xiong didn't dare to think about it. He was clear about the abilities of those heavenly sons in Songlang City. None of them was good. With a wave of his hand, Li Xiong tore open the void and appeared in the sky above the Certification Management Office. Sure enough, outside the Certification Management Office, a lot of people gathered, including some heavenly sons whom Li Xiong had seen. They were either first-class or second-class professionals, and their influence was not weak. Humph! As soon as Li Xiong appeared, he snorted. The people surrounding the Certification Management Office all seemed to be hit hard. They could not stand steadily, and all fell to the ground. Minister Li is here. Everyone saw Minister Li Xiong standing in the air. He was the minister of the Capital Institute branch. When everyone saw Minister Li Xiong just snorted slightly, they fell to the ground and could not get up. Fear arose in their hearts. What are you doing? Li Xiong was very angry. These people were so bold that they dared to make trouble, which was equivalent to questioning his behavior. Minister Li, it's great that you are here. Yuan Fei hurriedly came out. The Certification Management Office had no power. These heavenly sons had amazing backgrounds, and he could not afford to offend them. The appearance of Minister Li finally made him feel relieved. The Capital Institute's reputation was not just for show. When Minister Li Xiong came, those heavenly sons had to behave themselves. Minister Li, you misunderstood. We are not here to make trouble. A long-haired young man climbed up and said with a smile. Li Xiong knew this person. He was a heavenly son of the Nangong family named Nangong Jiuwu. The Nangong family had a great influence in the Songlong Star area. Nangong Jiuwu, you are so bold. You surrounded the Certification Management Office. If you are not here to make trouble, what are you? Do you want to lose the opportunity to be selected? Li Xiong also had a headache with this person. The Capital Institute had a great influence, but the forces in these star areas were also complicated and very difficult to deal with. If they were not careful, they would get into trouble. Nangong Jiuwu was still smiling. Minister Li, you think too highly of us. What kind of place is the Certification Management Office? It is an agency of the Empire. Even if we were given 100 guts, we would not dare to break in. We just heard that there is a rare top-notch profession in our Songlong Star area for thousands of years, so we specially came to find that genius and wanted to see the legendary Roaring Warrior. Like me, they are also here to see the Heavenly Sun. We are really not here to make trouble. Minister Li, we are really here to gain experience. Roaring Warrior, a top-notch profession. Of course, we have to come to see it. If we can learn from each other, that would be great. We are here to gain experience. Everyone present said in unison that they were here to gain experience. In this case, Li Xiong was also helpless, but he also realized that these guys did not have good intentions, which would have a great impact on Lin Fei's reputation. Minister Li, I heard that you have a good relationship with him. Can you ask him to come out so that we can see him? It is said that the terrifying roar of the Roaring Warrior is very powerful. Nangong Jiuwu sneered in his heart. Even if that person did not come out today, as long as it was spread out, he would be regarded as a coward. As soon as Nangong Jiuwu finished speaking, the rest of the people began to make a fuss. On the surface, it was to gain experience. In fact, Li Xiong was very clear that as long as Lin Fei came out, they would have a good reputation and learn from each other. At that time, he really could not find a reason to refute. He could not stop them from learning from each other. Li Xiong knew that someone was playing tricks behind the scenes. If Lin Fei failed in learning from each other, Those people did not mind bringing the topic to him. Those people in the college would definitely make a big fuss again. Don't think that it was impossible. Li Xiong was very clear about those people's means. Chapter 2378. I heard that you want to compare notes with me. When Li Xiong was in a dilemma, he heard a familiar voice. He looked up and found it was the young man named Lin Fei. Lin Fei came to the door of the certification management office unhurriedly. Why did he come out? Li Xiong's heart thumped. Wait, did he say he wanted to compare notes with me? The people outside reacted quickly. He is Lin Fei. I heard that he likes to wear a black robe and looks like a young man. That's him. I thought he had 3 heads and 6 arms. It turns out that he has an undeserved reputation. He is not so good. Nangongju Wu's eyes brightened. It's good that he came out. Let me defeat you personally and become famous in the Songlong Star area. If he didn't come out, Nangongju had no choice. Once he came out, even Minister Li couldn't stop him from comparing notes with him. Why did you come out? Li Xiong walked over and took Lin Fei to the side. His tone was very urgent. Don't you know that they are not friendly? From the moment Nangong Juawu brought his men to cause a ruckus outside, Lin Fei already knew the situation. He also knew that they did not come with good intentions. From the moment the news spread out, the situation would definitely not be small. Minister Li, do you think they can affect me, or are you worried that I will be defeated by them and lose your face? Lin Fei smiled. If ordinary people said this, Li Xiong would definitely be angry. But Lin Fei was different. He was a talent, absolutely a talent. It was normal to be arrogant. Li Xiong didn't feel strange at all. He gave a hollow laugh. Actually, you don't have to come out. I can handle this kind of thing. There is no need to affect your practice and consolidation. Lin Fei didn't expose his words. He said with a smile, So, Minister, do you believe me? Or do you think my top profession is just an undeserved reputation? Li Xiong was a little worried. The genius in front of him was not a simple person. He had entered the first profession for a long time and his strength was amazing. It was reasonable to worry. Once the top profession Roaring Warrior was defeated by others. Even if it was only once, it was a failure which gave them an excuse, especially in this case. But why should I worry? Li Xiong suddenly asked himself, Is it because of worry? If he's not worried, why should I? He's a peak-class Howling Warrior. Li Xiong quickly understood. The other party was so confident, so why should he be worried? I believe you. Li Xiong smiled. The top profession Roaring Warrior was not so easy to deal with. Brother Sun, that kid came out. Not far from the certification management office. Sun, Li, and a few others were watching with great interest. Lin Fei, a peak-class Roaring Warrior. So you do have some guts. Sun, Li laughed, a trace of hatred flashing in the depths of his eyes. If there were no accidents, Sun, Li would very likely get the recommendation rights. There was some internal turmoil in the Palace of Judgment. There seemed to be a problem with the Chosen One that had been arranged back then. After Sun, Li knew about it. He took the sole right to recommend the Chosen One as his own. Who would have thought that Lin Fei would come out and prove that he was a Howling Warrior, taking away the only free ticket in one go? Sun, Li was quite angry. I hope you won't disappoint me. Li Xiong and Lin Fei came to the door again. Nangongju was worried that Lin Fei would reject him. Young Master Lin, I am Nangongju Wu, a member of Songlang City's Nangong family. I heard that you are a top-class Howling Warrior. I am a person who likes to spar with geniuses. Senior has said that only by continuously sparring and challenging others can one increase one's strength and knowledge. Therefore, I took the liberty to visit you. Young Master Lin, you shouldn't take offense, right? Nangongju said with a smile. Those who didn't know would really think that it was just a competition. What he said was too reasonable. It was the first time that Lin Fei saw someone who could talk like this. He described the provocation as a competition. Comparing notes, I like it very much. Lin Fei raised the corner of his mouth and said with a smile, Actually, I also think that comparing notes is a good thing to increase my knowledge. I have always been in favor of comparing notes with others. Nangongju smiled even more happily. I don't know if I have the honor to compare notes with a future expert. The other party had just completed his profession. It was not easy for him to master talent skills, or even some exclusive skills or martial arts. Nangongju was very confident in his ability to defeat him. It was a chance to become famous. Lin Fei smiled and shook his head. No way. I don't reject anyone who comes to compare notes with me. However, you can't do it alone. Anyone who is interested can fight with me. Only then will you know the gap between me and you. Why I am a peak class, but you are not. As soon as these words were spoken, it undoubtedly stimulated everyone present quite a bit. Crazy, arrogant, self-righteous, etc. all fell on Lin Fei. Nangongju also revealed a trace of anger. He was even happier in his heart. This kid is not smart. Under such circumstances, he actually stimulated the onlookers. This is just right. Defeating one person is a defeat. Defeating a group of people is also a defeat. As long as Lin Fei is defeated, it will be all right. Child Lin, such a big tone. Then we will respectfully accept. Immediately a young man stood up. Count me in. I also want to see the difference of a peak class. It is my honor to fight with a future expert. Without needing Nangongju to do anything, the surrounding people all chose to take action. Li Xiong didn't stop them. This kid is so tough. As long as he defeats them once, those who want to find trouble with him in the future will have to think thrice. It is really in line with the temper of a peak class. Li Xiong was very supportive of Lin Fei's approach. Roaring Warrior, the Empire Expedition's peak class. When the news spread out, some people didn't believe it. This kind of peak class appeared so easily. There were many people who doubted Li Xiong secretly. If today's matter spread out, it would undoubtedly be a loud slap in their faces. Since the recommendation right was used on Lin Fei, Li Xiong and Lin Fei were equivalent to standing on the same side. Anything that targeted Lin Fei was equivalent to targeting him. If it was not inappropriate, Li Xiong would definitely do it himself. Are you sure you want to exchange pointers with a group of us? Nangongju asked with no good intention. Even if you are a peak class, you may not be our opponent. Lin Fei said disapprovingly, If you want to exchange pointers, then do it. Otherwise, I will go back. I am not interested in wasting time with you all here. This is what you said, Nangongju said angrily. Don't say that we are bullying you in the end. Lin Fei actually wanted to see the power of a second-rate and a first-rate class. Boom! Nangongju was the first to take action. He took out a silver-white long spear. It was more than 2 meters long and was flickering with silver light. The aura on his body changed into a berserk aura. The surrounding air also became chaotic. Chapter 2379. Berserk Knight was a first-rate class. It wasn't a particularly strong class, but it wasn't something a second-rate class could compare to. Nangongju Wu had been a Berserk Knight for a very long time after his first transition, and he had a very good understanding of his own battle style. For example, when he stabbed out with his long spear, he was very adept at controlling the strength and angle of his attack very well. Coupled with his Berserk aura, he was able to gain a certain advantage. Every first transition job had their own chi field, and this chi field would become stronger as their abilities increased. The Berserk Knight's aura was a Berserk aura field. Within this aura field, Berserk particles were everywhere. Anyone who entered the Berserk aura field would have their essence, energy, and spirit affected. Those with weaker strength would directly fall into an endless Berserk state. There was no need for anyone to resolve it. When Nangongju thrusted his spear, many people secretly sucked in a mouthful of cold air. The might of this spear was at least 4 million battle power. This should be a Berserk Knight. His first attack is more than 4 million battle power. It's a very powerful attack. Coupled with the Berserk aura, he has an invisible advantage. Enveloped by this spear attack, Lin Fei felt as if the blood essence within his body was about to gush out uncontrollably. The attack of a first-rate class truly lived up to its name. This kind of combat attack alone was unable to affect Lin Fei. Burning Sun Soul Hunting Arrow. Nangongju Wu's attack was only the first attack. Not far away in the crowd, a long-haired young man shot forward like an arrow and leapt onto a nearby building. A small golden bow appeared in his hand, and the aura behind him was like a blazing sun. A scorching aura swept out, causing the air to crackle as if it was about to split apart. Second-rate class. Soul-chasing archer, Shenlai. I didn't expect him to come as well. It's said that the soul-seeker archer specializes in shooting. His speed is astonishing, and it's impossible to dodge. Just last month, this Lord Shenlai personally shot 6 first-job professionals to death. Moreover, it was a single arrow that pierced through their hearts. Damn, that's terrifying. Shenlai, who was standing on top of a building, pulled his bowstring. The scorching sun behind him turned into an arrow. His expression was solemn, which was rarely seen. Top-class roaring warrior, let me see how powerful I am. A stream of light passed through. The onlookers didn't even see the traces of the shot. They only felt a scorching sun rushing towards Lin Fei's position. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. 3 arrows. 3 blazing suns in 3 different directions, sealing off all of the other party's escape routes. Tryon life-seizing. Shenlai's archery skills were always successful. Lin Fei showed a disdainful expression to everyone as soon as he came up. There was no need to deliberately guide them. Countless youths attacked Lin Fei, and the onlookers had long since retreated, staying far away from the scene of trouble. Even so, they still felt an immense pressure, forcing them to defend themselves. Ministerly, nothing will happen, right? Yuan, Fei asked cautiously, his gaze landing on Lin Fei at the door. Just now, over 20 geniuses had taken action. Among them, there were quite a few first-rate professions, and even the weakest among them was a second-rate profession. Li Xiong held up his aura in front of him to prevent others from being affected. Top professional, what do you think? In fact, Li Xiong also felt guilty. If it was him, it would be fine no matter how many came. However, Lin Fei was only a first transition Howling Warrior. He might not even be familiar with his power yet. If there is any danger, I have to save him no matter what. Li Xiong hated the mastermind behind the scenes. He decided to arrange for someone to investigate after everything was over. He wanted to see who had the guts to fight with him. Berserk Knight, soul-chasing killer, earth assassin, in the face of so many attacks, Lin Fei was extremely calm. He had to admit that these people were all geniuses. However, today he was the strongest one. Roar! When the attack was about to land on him, Lin Fei opened his mouth and roared. Horrifying roar! Roar, roar, roar! A simple tone turned into a terrifying existence that had never appeared before. It was like a thunderbolt on a sunny day that exploded in everyone's heart. Nangongju Wu's long spear was about to land on his opponent's body when he heard a tremor in his heart. An unimaginable force attacked him, and the web between his thumb and forefinger exploded. His vision became blurred, and his entire body flew out like a broken sack. He fell on the street and couldn't get up. Fresh blood gushed out from his body, and the street was dyed red. The people who besieged him were all the same. Any attack couldn't pass through the last distance, and then it was shattered by the horrifying roar and collapsed completely. In a moment, people were lying on the ground in a mess in the Certification Administration Office, and all of them were unconscious. If it weren't for their breaths, everyone would have suspected that they were all dead after the roar. Li Xiong spread out his aura to protect everyone. He had seen the power of the horrifying roar before. If he didn't help them, many people would definitely die here. He didn't want to be affected by this matter. It's still so horrifying. More than 21st stage professionals all fell to the ground after the roar. Even the people in the distance could feel the horror of the roar. It's too horrifying. It's said that the horrifying roar is a double attack. At that moment, I felt that I was going to die, and Minister Lee protected us. A top professional is indeed a professional. With a roar, more than 21st stage professionals were seriously injured. If the roar is not stopped, it will kill people. Who can withstand it? Everyone looked at Lin Fei again, and there was a trace of fear in the depths of their eyes. They would never forget today's scene for the rest of their lives. Too weak. Lin Fei shook his head, nodded at Minister Lee, and turned back. No one present dared to say the word no. They were all frightened by the horrifying roar. Li Xiong was very satisfied. Lin Fei still knows how to restrain his strength. If he goes all out, half of the more than 21st stage professionals will die. With this lesson, I think no one will doubt that Lin Fei is a roaring warrior anymore. Sun Li, who was watching from a distance, also turned pale at this time. Although he didn't suffer a frontal attack, the double attack released by the horrifying roar still affected Sun Li a little. Is this the power of the horrifying roar? Sun Li was very unwilling to accept it. He still underestimated the power of a top professional. The first stage professionals were already so powerful. If they reached the 5th or 6th stage, who wouldn't they die when they roared? If Sun Li knew that the current Lin Fei could roar people to death, he wouldn't think like this. Unfortunately, he didn't know. Brother Sun, what should we do now? Sun Li glanced at the people on the ground. No matter what, there is a barrier between Lin Fei and the forces of Songlang Star region. I believe that no one wants to see the growth of a top professional, such as the news of the battle in the Certification Management Office, spread quickly. More than 21st stage professionals were seriously injured with a single roar. Songlang City was in an uproar. He had endless potential. Even a top professional might not be able to defeat more than 21st stage professionals in one move. Chapter 2380. A top professional is indeed a top professional. His moves are extraordinary. He defeated all his opponents with just one roar. Our Songlang Star area is going to make a name for ourselves. Those people are so despicable. They knew the top professionals, but they still went to fight. Now, they were defeated in less than one move. What a disgrace. The first professional job is already so powerful. What about the second professional job? The future belongs to the young people. Lin Fei was completely famous. The Certification Administration Office defeated all the competitors with just one move, which caused a sensation in the Songlang Star area. Now, everyone knew about it. At the same time, the news spread out of the star area. Everyone was shocked by the power of Lin Fei. His talent skill was so domineering that it could destroy all the attacks with a roar and attack the opponent's body and spirit at the same time. Those who were unconvinced were now completely convinced. No matter how unwilling they were, they realized that they were not Lin Fei's match. Very few people dared to challenge Lin Fei. Most people tried to break through the attack, trying to figure out how to block it. Territorial Lord, our people can't come back. They may have been ambushed by someone and all died. Songlang City, City Lord Mansion. There was a hint of helplessness in the low voice. The people sent out by the Palace of Judgment couldn't come back. They all lost contact. At the same time, their life plates were all broken. It seemed that they were all killed in an instant. The Palace of Judgment in the Songlang Star area had always been the most powerful force in the star area. Almost all the heavenly suns in the entire star area were gathered in the Palace of Judgment. The influence of the Palace of Judgment had never been affected. This time they were in big trouble. If the Palace of Judgment didn't have a heavenly sun entering the capital college this year, although it wouldn't be a big loss, it would still have an impact. Hold a banquet for me. I want to have a good chat with Lin Fei. Don't you think that if Lin Fei joins the Palace of Judgment, we will still be the biggest winner, even without them this year? The middle-aged territorial lord said unhurriedly. Top professional, roaring warrior. A few simple words had a big impact. If they could really attract him to join the Palace of Judgment, it would be a good choice. Region Master, I heard that Lin Fei has a bad temper, and now he has the support of Li Xiong. It is not easy to let him join us. Just do as I say. Lin Fei was very free recently. From that day on, no one came looking for trouble, and at the same time he became famous again. Lin Fei stayed in the courtyard almost every day and rarely went out. The energy blocks sent by the various forces in Songlang City were all digested in a short time. With the system, mere energy blocks could not satisfy Lin Fei's needs. It wasn't that Lin Fei didn't try to find out more information, but unfortunately he didn't find anything. Energy blocks weren't something that ordinary forces could control. In the entire empire, only the empire could control them. Every star field had a piece of land that was used to grow special creatures and produce energy blocks. It was difficult for outsiders to get close to it. Every piece of land was classified as a restricted area. Anyone who entered the restricted area would be immediately killed. In this world, countless people wanted to obtain special creatures to satisfy their need for energy blocks. Unfortunately, not a single person had succeeded. Not only was there an imperial army guarding that place, but there were also experts overseeing it. The energy blocks had always been in the hands of the empire's royalty. They controlled the lifeline of everyone's cultivation, and any resistance would be futile. Lin Fei also tried to find out some information. Although it was some gossip, after the analysis of the little devil, the possibility was very high. For example, the Expeditionary Empire controlled some very powerful weapons. Yes, they were technological weapons. The Expeditionary Guards of Songlang Star Field had technological weapons. These technological weapons needed energy blocks to replenish their power, and their power was very terrifying. Even a 6th or 7th transformation expert would be killed by these technological weapons. No one believed these gossip, but Lin Fei did. Although he didn't find out the specific location of the special creatures, Lin Fei was more or less disappointed. The other party had sealed the information too tightly and no outsider knew. The only thing was that every star field had a plantation for special creatures. The domain lord is holding a banquet for the geniuses. Lin Fei received an invitation. The person who sent it was Yuan Fei. He was very happy when he arrived. Little Lin, you're really lucky. The domain lord hasn't held such a banquet for many years. I think it's most likely for you. Yuan Fei was indeed very envious of Lin Fei. He was so young and had amazing talent. His future was limitless. Recently, Yuan Fei had been coming more often. He put away his arrogance and became more approachable. Lin Fei naturally knew that this domain lord was the one who created the Judgment Palace. He was also the guy who set up the Sacred World. In order to set up the plot, he destroyed a world continent. This kind of person was very resourceful and not easy to deal with. Through the outside investigation, Lin Fei knew that this domain lord was also a powerful person. He was an 8th transformation expert. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to sit in his current position. For such a person to hold a banquet and invite him, Lin Fei thought about the plot he had set up in the Sacred World. Calculating the time, it should have been triggered. It seems that the domain lord is anxious. In order to hide it from the Judgment Palace, Lin Fei had set up some tricks to create the illusion that the heavenly talents of the Judgment Palace had been ambushed by a mysterious force and had died. This year, the Songlang Star region had gained nothing. Even if there were still some heavenly talents in the Songlang Star region, they were far behind those people. It would be extremely difficult to get a good ranking in the Capital Institute. But if it were him, just his top profession, the Roaring Warrior, would be able to suppress everything and steal everyone's limelight. In a moment, Lin Fei understood everything. This was not a difficult task. Little Lin, this is your chance. You must seize it. Yuan Fei said, You're now famous in the Star region. After all, you're a foreigner. Although you're from the Star region, there are still people who are not convinced. I've seen many geniuses, and many of them have died on the way. Little Lin, I have high hopes for you. If you can gain the domain lord's appreciation, it'll be equivalent to having a backer. Those who want to touch, you will have to think carefully about the consequences. Let me tell you one more thing. The domain lord is on the third prince's side. Brother Yuan, I understand. Lin Fei nodded. Lin Fei had heard about the internal competition within the royal family. It was quite intense. The Emperor Yuan Zheng had never appointed a crown prince, which undoubtedly made the princes ambitious and wanted to sit on the throne. Chapter 2381. The banquet ordered by the territorial master was still very noisy. As a big shot who controlled the Star area, the banquet ordered by the territorial master was held in person. Those who were invited were all first-class figures in the Star area, not to mention how glorious they were. As the night fell, waves of people came outside the magnificent city governor's mansion. Old Wang, you are here, too. I must come to the banquet held by the territorial master. The territorial master hasn't held a banquet for a long time. Have you heard? It seems that the heavenly son of Lin Fei will also come to the banquet. Lin Fei came neither too early nor too late. He did not come alone. Yuan Fei and Minister Li Xiong came, and even Xiao Mingshan of the Expedition Guard came. It could be said that all the big shots in the Star area came. Lin Fei even thought that if that strong man took action at this time, the situation in the Star area would change. Look at that young man. He seems to be Lin Fei. Do you mean the young man standing with Minister Li Xiong? That guy is so young. It had to be admitted that as soon as Lin Fei came to the city governor's mansion, he caused a lot of noise. After all, Lin Fei was now a household name in the Star area. As soon as Lin Fei came to the city governor's mansion, many people noticed him, especially when he walked with Minister Li Xiong. Although Minister Li Xiong was only a minister of the branch, he had a lot of power. People with good eyesight knew that Li Xiong was likely to return to the Imperial College to take up a new job because he found a heavenly son of a top profession, and his future was bright. When Lin Fei and Minister Li Xiong walked together, everyone was more jealous, especially those heavenly sons. Their eyes were almost green, and they wished they could be Lin Fei's heavenly son. The internal competition in the Imperial College was very fierce. If you could know a senior of the Imperial College, even if you were in the middle level, your life would be much better. Li Xiong was such a candidate. When he returned to the Imperial College, he would definitely enter the senior level and become a dark horse in the Imperial College. Lin, you are famous now. Li Xiong has received the news that the Imperial College has decided to promote him to be an elder of the college, which is equivalent to a meteoric rise to the top of the college. Not everyone was qualified to be an elder of the Capital Institute. One had to have made great contributions to the institute. Although he was now the head of the branch college, he was actually just a steward. Many people would never be able to become an elder in their lifetime. Li Xiong did it. Every time he saw Lin Fei, Li Xiong's mood would be very good. Lin Fei was simply a noble person in his life. No matter when he saw him, he appreciated him more. Lin Fei smiled at those who came to him to be friendly, and he didn't look like an arrogant person at all. His impression in Li Xiong's eyes was enhanced again. Generally, the chosen one would be extremely arrogant after having some strength, but compared with Lin Fei, they seemed to be nothing. Li Xiong never saw a trace of arrogance in Lin Fei. He always behaved as usual. Ordinary people would not have such a temperament at such a young age. In tonight's banquet, Li Xiong actually wanted to see Lin Fei's performance. Fortunately, everything was very perfect. He was not a person who only practiced martial arts. The empire needed such a talent. A talent! Li Xiong withdrew his gaze. Xiao Mingshan came over with a cup. Congratulations. As the person in charge of the Expeditionary Guard, Xiao Mingshan naturally knew Li Xiong's recent situation, and he was also very envious. The Imperial College was established by the Emperor, and its influence spread all over the Expeditionary Empire. If he could become a senior in the Imperial College, his life would be worthwhile. Luck, luck, Li Xiong said modestly, with a bright smile on his face. The Territory Master is here. When the loud voice came from outside, everyone stopped and looked at the door. The silver-armored Territory Master, like a god of war, appeared in everyone's sight. The Territory Master of the Songlong Star Territory, Lin Fei, also looked in the direction of everyone. What a powerful and unfathomable aura! It seems to be the 8th stage profession mentioned by the outside world. With just a glance, Lin Fei saw the power of this Territory Master, and he immediately asked the little devil to scan and judge the opponent's combat power. Master, this Songlong Territory Master has an amazing combat power of 62 million. He is the strongest person in this star territory. Lin Fei knew that the Territory Master's combat power was very powerful, but when he heard that the Territory Master had a combat power of 62 million, he could not help but gasp. It was 6 times his combat power. The Territory Master of the Songlong Star Territory has a combat power of 60 million, so the other 30 or so Territory Masters have combat power at least above this. Then, the Expedition Emperor may have a combat power of about 100 million. Lin Fei now finally had a profound understanding. When the silver-armored Songlong Territory Master came in, although he did not deliberately release his aura, everyone could still feel the terrible coercion from the Territory Master. The whole person of the Songlong Territory Master seemed very peaceful. If it were not for the trace of coercion on his body, outsiders might think that he was harmless. Only by knowing the strength of the 8th stage profession would you know the horror. As soon as the Songlong Territory Master arrived, he immediately became the center of attention. He first came up and greeted Xiao Mingshan and Li Xiong. After all, these two were important figures of the empire, and their status was much higher than the others. It was very rare for the Songlong Territory Master to come in person at this kind of banquet. I heard that there is a top profession in our Songlong Star Territory. I think it should be you. After greeting Xiao Mingshan, the Songlong Territory Master's eyes fell on Lin Fei. I am deeply honored to let the Territory Master remember my name, Lin Fei said in a neither servile nor overbearing manner. A strong person with 60 million combat power deserved the respect. This was also because Lin Fei did not want to be suspected. You are very good. There has not been a genius like you in the Songlong Star Territory for a long time. The Songlong Territory Master said with a smile. The Songlong Star Territory needs talents like you. Li Xiong and Xiao Mingshan next to him laughed. The rest of the people were very envious. At this time, everyone knew at a glance that this Territory Master came to find Lin Fei. He was a top profession, a roaring warrior, and had this qualification. The Songlong Territory Master valued Lin Fei so much, which made those people jealous. Few people had heard that the Territory Master valued a person so much. Many geniuses' eyes were red, but they could not say anything. A top profession suppressed them, and they could not lift their heads. Originally, they thought that the Songlong Territory Master would say something, but he simply said something to Lin Fei and ended the conversation, which surprised everyone.